Hello, hello, noble ones. Welcome to the stream. Let's see if you're getting this. So that would be nice. In the meantime, I'm just going to check my recording equipment. Maybe I should have the microphone pointing towards me. That would be a good thing. Hello, James Clark. Greetings, greetings. Can you hear me? Let's just making sure that I am live correctly. I'm just trying to see display capture. 1 second. For reasons, display capture. We don't need display capture. We need camera. For some reasons, video capture device not working. We're having some trouble. Apologize for that. Just give me 1 second and I will fix it. So it should be this. It should be the camera. I wonder why the camera is not doing what it's supposed to do. So 1 second, please. We are working hard for you. So display capture is not what I need. I need the camera. Let's get back to coming soon. 1 second. Okay, so I'm still working on it. I think you can hear my voice. I actually find it really funny that people are saying starting soon. That was a lie. I gotta give it to you. That's a good one. Anyways, let me see if through the properties iOS device. So refresh devices. Let's see if that does it. Because I might need reconnect device. That's a good idea. Maybe let's try that. Some reasons it's not getting the connection. I mean, I know how to fix it. I can close OBS and reopen it, and that will fix it, but I don't know if it's gonna cut the connection to the stream. But hey, we could give it a try. It's a little bit of an adventure, I suppose. Let me see your chats, because I can see the chats. It's all it's Elon Musk all over again. Hey, at least I'm not a billionaire. No, but seriously, I think I know what it is. I think I know. Maybe it's a priority thing. It doesn't, if for some reasons it doesn't see the camera. And I think I know, again, I know how to fix this. It's just before I do that, I wanted to see if there is a way, or maybe if I turn off the camera and turn it on again, let me see if that does it. Did you hear the pudding? Live streaming through USB. So refresh devices. If that doesn't do it, it doesn't. Okay, then yes, I need to kind of close OBS and reopen it. I don't know if that's gonna stop the live stream. If that happens, don't worry about it. I'll begin, I suppose, a new live stream. So I'm not going anywhere. I appreciate your patience, by the way. But I do want to check one last thing. So configure video, looking device default. That is correct. Appreciate your patience, by the way. You're being very patient, because I imagine looking at this black screen. Oh, wait. I think it worked. Did it work? Can you see me? I think it worked. Number ones. Yeah, let me check the chat, because I know you'll let me know if you can see me now. Can you see me? Can you see me? Can you see me? Da 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 da. Can you see me right now? Da 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 da. I'm waiting to see if you can see me because I can see myself. But then again, I don't know if that's rejoice. Can see? Great, I did it. Yes. Yes. So video capture device is where it was. So welcome. Sorry for the weird beginning right there, but hey, you know, I've only been doing this for 11 years. So what did you expect? It takes, you know, some people need their time to figure things out. Okay, so now that we've fixed the image, hello Colin, hello Cosis, and Marxista Gruchista. That's a nice name. Leonidas Sparta, we can see you, sir. Hello there. You got a channel. Guys, if you're in, right, you're the guy with the channel about ancient Greece. You should go check him out if you like Greek stuff. And welcome, welcome. So, yes, absolutely. Considering the topic of today's video, the fact that I put the coming soon image could be considered a lie, I imagine, because it didn't happen soon. But hey, here we are. Here we are. Welcome. How is my audio? How is my audio? La voce della ragione in un mondo di pazzi. We got something in Italian. I appreciate that. My Italian sounds so good. How did I get so good at Italian? The top of your head is chopped off. Well, yeah, no. But, I mean, yeah, I don't mind it. You can see the live stream in the back. Also because I got the mic here. So, like, you know, like, I'm not sure if the mic is aesthetic. But here we are. So yeah. It's good to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Can we ask you some questions too? Absolutely. It's always a Q&A. So I have a topic, as you can see, which is the topic of lies and lying. And I kind of have a few thoughts about it to the point that I was considering making an actual video. But we're going to start today in a little bit of an unscripted discussion, which might get a little philosophical. But in general, we're going to talk about academia and how things work and how you criticize someone in the scientific way, in the academic way, in the correct and decent way. And then we'll compare that to see if the way some of my detractors, the way they kind of make videos to respond to me, if the two things fit. And let me tell you, have you seen that meme where the guy tries to put like a square into a triangle shape? It's the same thing. So yeah, we're going to look at that, and that's going to be one of the main topics today. I want to tell you a little bit about behind the scenes as well. My team is expanding. You know, I have a team behind me, and kind of want to give a shout out to them and talk a little bit about the team because, you know, so there's something that I noticed about my team that I think is hilarious, and we should talk about it a little bit. So we're going to talk about that as well. But of course, feel free to ask all the questions you want, interrupt me, disagree with me, agree, like this, dislike it, unsubscribe and then resubscribe. Do whatever you want. You're free. Freedom. This is a channel of freedom. This is one of the main things. Harry's amazing. I appreciate Sat Z112. And we've got a super chat from Casey Chopinski. I appreciate you supporting the show. Thank you so much. I was taught that people aren't entitled to an opinion. They're entitled to an informed opinion. You know, if you can argue against your own point. Well, I think we should give more weight to informed opinions, but I also think that people should be allowed to share opinions on whatever they want. At least that is my point. And so, yes, of course, if a mathematician shares an opinion on mathematics, I think his opinion has more weight than if I do. But then again, if you want to share an opinion on ancient Rome based on maybe a little bit that you've read, you don't need to have a degree in the classics to share an opinion. At the end of the day, for me, when we talk about, you know, opinions lead and pave the way to debates. Now, when I say debates, I mean in the ancient Greek definition of the term, because modern debates are different from classical and ancient debates. Ancient debates were very eloquent, by the way. When we read the way that the ancients debated, particularly when it comes to like very, very intelligent people and educated people, they go at each other. But they had a common denominator, a common goal, which was the debate exists so that we can find the truth, right? Which means you don't just speak, but you also listen. And if the other party brings an idea or a good counter-argument and they are right, you'll admit it. Modern debate instead, even though it's a very interesting skill to watch, and I watch it for entertainment, is not the way to find the truth. Debaters first very rarely acknowledge the other person's points, and at the end of the day, you can win a debate even if you're wrong. Because modern debates are all based on how well and how confidently you can defend your point. The fact that that point may be truth, may be the truth, or no, is in fact irrelevant in the world of modern debate. Which is why, as I say, it's very interesting to watch debates, and I find debaters on all sides of the political spectrum to be very entertaining to watch, but do not consider debate as a way to find the truth. Academia is a way to find the truth. Research and data analysis is a way to find the truth. Because, you know, the truth exists whether you like it or not, and the truth asserts itself whether you believe in it or not. And therefore, you know, what modern day debaters tend to do, as I say, is they score points for their side. But that sometimes happens at the expense of the truth. So not a great way. Also because at the end of the day, they don't have time. I mean, you do prep work, of course, before you go into a debate. But note, not very often debaters will tell you, oh, I don't know, I didn't prepare on that, so I care not to comment. They don't do that. They will still give you, and they don't have much time to respond because they eat each other like crazy. So you have to give an answer that isn't accurate, but it's an answer that is the quickest you can get, that is the strongest you can have to overcome the other person's sometimes also confidence, not just their point. And so, yeah, not a great way to find the truth. But thank you for the super chat, by the way. I appreciate that. Let's see. Does Metatron wear his red felt hat outside in the neighborhood? No, not really. Unless it's like a Renaissance fair, then I would. Jesse Dominguez, thank you for the $5. Appreciate the support for the stream. May my gods, the Olympians, and your God bless you and your family. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Same to you, of course. I appreciate that. Yeah, exactly. Ancient debate. Plato, it's fun. Informed can be subjective, says a substatica. That true, absolutely. What is an informed decision? Can you be informed without a degree if what you're saying is based on what other people say? I mean, personally, one of the things we do with my team, we don't just repeat what historians say. We looked at primary sources, and when they are not available, we look at secondary sources. The difference being eyewitness, for example, is primary source. Secondary sources is someone who's telling you what someone else reported. So of course, primary sources are better, but sometimes we don't have primary sources, so we look into secondary sources. And then if secondary sources are weak, or if primary sources might be biased, which happens depending on whom we're speaking, there's a lot of political propaganda in history, including historians, then you want to look at literary evidence. You want to look at what the enemies of those people say. Because if someone who hates you says the same thing as what you're saying, it's quite probable that, yeah, it's probably true if you've got that in common. And then, of course, material evidence and archaeology, that's a good way to look at that. So we don't rely on what's written on books. We do our own research, which is why it takes so much effort and resources to actually do this and make the videos the way we do. A Messianic resource something. Thank you for the donation. Shabbat Shalom Metatron. Here's a gift of $10. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for the support. Salutamo. Someone is writing in Sicilian. Sir Nerwin Giacinto. I appreciate that. Greetings from the Philippines. Hey, someone in the Philippines using Sicilian is like first time in my life. Where do you get your medieval clothing from, Divine Dandelion says. So this one specifically, the Armin doublet, this was it was custom made, and it's based on the paintings by Piero della Francesca, who is a Tuscan author of the late medieval period, who drew medieval knights and people that were contemporary to him. And the people who did it are it's a company called Medieval Design. You can find them at medievaldesign.com, and then you go into the 15th century section and you'll find this among others. This is an army doublet, so it's the kind of clothing this is military clothing. This is not civilian clothing. So it's what a medieval knight or a man-at-arms would have put underneath their plate armor. This is what this is. And this is why you have these things, which are called points, with a little brass head, that are used to support your plate. So like I'm wearing my arms of plate, and then I suspend them with this. Well, actually, these suspend the arms, and these suspend the shoulder plates for those knights that chose to wear them. So yeah, medievaldesign.com, highly suggested. They're very good. They're very good. Let's see. Oh, that's another. Mr. Donut775, Metatron. My English teacher teaches that Azteca, so I mean, you mean the Aztecs, were black. Can you please break it down? I don't see, I mean, I haven't gone deeply into the Aztecs, but I don't believe that they were black, so I don't know what he's saying, why he's saying that. I'll have to look into it with the team because that's what we do. And in fact, that beautifully connects to the topic of this video. So let's start breaking it down because today I have a paradox for you. And I want to see if we can find a solution to this paradox that can be logical altogether. So here is the paradox. As I was saying, whenever I have a topic, like someone asks me a question exactly like this, and they ask me, hey, was Hannibal black? People ask me that. On the same note, the people ask me, hey, did the Romans use this type of shield? I respond to that question. I also respond to questions that have to do with ethnicity, questions that have to do with language. What language did the, I don't know, Sarmatians speak, for example, or the Etruscans, and then questions that have to do with LGBT-related topics. Because I don't think there is anything wrong with asking a question, particularly when it comes from a place of curiosity and not a place of hatred. Curiosity, it's fine. It's good to be curious, and it should be encouraged. So whenever people ask me this question, I don't tell them, oh, no, sorry, I can't talk about that. I'm so afraid. I'm such a coward. I don't do that. I will address it. I'll do it. So someone asks me, was Hannibal black? Was Cleopatra black? Why are they asking the question? Because there are people that say they were. Same with the Aztecs. Same with, I want to say, Emperor Septimus Severus. I'm making a video about that. And so in order to answer that question, I go back to my team. Now, my team is, believe it or not, I'll tell you more about the team, but the team is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and these are wonderful people. So if there ever is a mistake in my videos, usually it's me. It's my part, because these people are solid. Like, my team members are fantastic. And, of course, my detractors told me, no, they don't exist, and then I show them on camera. Because, I mean, right. So we look at the question, and I ask, hey, guys, how is it? So we look at the evidence, and that takes weeks, which is why I pay them, and I pay them very well. Then we come back with the evidence. This is what I found. What did you find? Anthropologists, Egyptologists, historians, archaeologists, linguists. This is the team. We look at the evidence, and then we respond based on the evidence. If the evidence says that, yeah, Hannibal was black, we'll say it. And then I'll be called woke for it. But if the evidence says that Hannibal was not black, which is what we found in that specific instance, then we'll still say it. And of course, I get called a racist for it. But apart from that, people now started to say that I am lying. Note this. If you go on Google right now, if you go on YouTube and you say, debunking Metatron, response to Metatron, a lot of these videos call me a liar. A lot of these videos say he's lying because he said these people were not black. Or he said these other people. And of course, they ignore the times that I actually defended ideas that we have in common because whatever, they ignore it. But yeah, they will call me a liar. Why do they do that? They do that, it's an ad hominem attack, because whenever they try and do it with actual research, usually they lose. Not always. Sometimes I've been, like, debunked correctly. Like, not debunked, it's a big word, but like I've had a response and I was like, hey, this person is right. And then I either change a video, chop something off a video, or remake it. I've done that multiple times. So I do that. But when they fail with that, they present the evidence, I disagree, so we have to agree to disagree, which would be fine as a decision. Then they go into lying. Here is the paradox that I was telling you about. I look at the evidence for a specific people, and the evidence shows these people were not black. What do I do? Because if I say it, guys, these people were not black, I'm called a liar. But I believe it. I truly believe it based on the evidence. If I do what they say, so the only way, paradox, for me not to be called a liar is to lie. Isn't that mind-blowing how that works or doesn't? Because I believe it. I believe Hannibal was not black. So if I say he was black like they want me to, then yes, they'll stop calling me liar. And that's when I'm lying, though. That's the paradox. I think it's a fascinating, and of course I don't care. I'll speak it, I'll tell it how it is. But I kind of wanted to present this to you because notice, even when I made my pretty strong, I'll admit it, response to Quelimica, what did I write on my thumbnail? I wrote, he's wrong. I didn't say he lied. I didn't call him a liar. Because I truly believe that he believes that the Egyptians were black for the majority. I mean, someone like Mr. Imhotep stated 100%. That's insane from a scientific standpoint. But, Quelimica didn't go that far. But I do believe that he believes it, so he's not lying. So I will not call him a liar, even if I disagree. I'll just say he's wrong. And I wish that sometimes my detractors did that. They won't, and that's fine. It doesn't touch me, really. But it kind of shows you that the reason why I say I wish they did that, because I enjoy the debate. I like the back and forth. Because if we do it in the ancient way, that's how you get to the truth. Because if there is something that I did wrong, or that we did wrong, and they can present facts, great. Then now we can change it. And that's fantastic. But when I'm being called a liar, that's when the situation really fails. Because then, as I say, the only way for me not to be called a liar is to lie. I think it's oh my gosh, I was thinking about this and I was like, this is so mind-blowing. Captain Yan Yan, thank you for the donation. Thoughts on the Paris Olympics? I didn't watch it. I didn't watch one bit of the Paris Olympics, nothing. I did share my opinion on the boxing controversy. So if you're interested in that, it's like literally 2 videos ago. So I would refer you to the video. I've already shared my opinion on that, which I thought it was a very moderate and logical position when it comes to that, because there was quite a lot of misinformation going around. But apart from that, I didn't watch it. I watched nothing, not even one thing. I saw pictures of that cool guy from Turkey with the firearm thing, with the pistol. I thought he looked really cool. I liked him, and now they're making memes about him all over the place, and I love it. I think that guy's cool. But I mean, I don't know anything about the Olympics. I didn't see anything. So it is interesting. Substatica asks an interesting question, kind of goes into the... well, no, actually, he's calling me a liar, so I'll skip it. I won't read it then. If you're here to insult me, then I won't read it. Pandora Darkwater, we are compelled to rewrite history. So that's a fantastic question. I appreciate that, Pandora Darkwater. So there is a difference between rewriting history for political reasons, which I will fight until I'm dead, and then rewriting history because new evidence has come to light. The second one, the latter, is how you do it. It's how you're supposed to do it. History is not a monolith. Just because we say, I mean, there are things that we know, are not going to change. That they can say that the Roman Empire never existed all they want. The Roman Empire existed. That's not going to change. But when it comes to the minutiae, when it comes to the small things, and we believe that a battle happened in 1066, Battle of Hastings, but then new evidence comes and it's like, hey, no, actually the battle happened in 1068. Rewrite history if that's what the evidence points towards, because maybe they got the date wrong or whatever. Okay, new evidence. So that is the good way to rewrite history. It is, in fact, wrong to say that history should not be touched at all. It should, but only under the parameters of academic discourse, which require documented evidence for us to rewrite, right? Because any other form of rewriting that is, oh no, I change it because I don't like it, or I'm offended to it, or I need to adapt it to the modern audience, that's wrong. That is what I fight with the channel. Just a little specification that I think. Robert made a fantastic point. I love what you said, Robert, because it was one of the points that I had in my bullet. This is not scripted, but I do have a bullet point list. Robert says, a lie requires intent. Thank you. That is absolutely correct. Which is, once again, why I say, whenever they call me a liar, it's really an insult and it's an ad hominem. And that's why I don't call someone else, like Quelimica, a liar. Because if I say that, Rome defeated the Greeks, or this specific emperor wasn't black, I say it because I believe it. So it's not a lie. In order for it to be a lie, even if the statement was wrong, and I'm proved wrong, still doesn't make me a liar. To be a lie, there has to be intent, like he's saying, to deceive while you knowingly know that what you're stating is false. Good luck proving that, by the way. In fact, my second riposte would be prove it. See, that's a thing. And Gay Frog is saying, but you could lie about intent. Oh yeah, for sure you could, but then you have to prove it, because innocent until proven guilty, and it's one of those things. But I do absolutely say, that's what I said actually to one of my detractors the other day in the comments section. I'm not going to mention him because I'm not going to mention him. But one of the things I was telling him, kept calling me a liar and saying that I was lying. Same thing, technicality, semantics. Is what at the end of the day, I'm like, I never lied on a video. I never lied on a video because I always present what I believe to be true. Whether you can prove that I was wrong or not, I welcome it. I welcome debunking videos. I welcome response videos. But even if you prove that whatever I said that happened in that specific year, oh, we got it wrong, still not a lie. And you can't change the definition of a lie to suit whatever you're trying to push. And so that's one of those things. Where did you get your watch from? It looks nice. Thank you. It's a sponsor. It kind of shows you that I like sponsors. This is a sponsor. I'll mention them on a video soon. So they sent me this watch for free. I didn't pay for it, but I like it. Today I went to the restaurant with my in-laws and I wore it, and my father-in-law frigging loved this. So yeah, I'll mention it, and then if you like the watch, you can get a discount, of course, through the sponsor. I think it's the sponsor for the 27th. Yeah, it's the 27th. So if you like this watch, check my videos on the 27th. You get a discount. So yeah. It's possible that I misunderstood Substatica. Yes, he misunderstood. Okay, no problem, Substatica, being cheeky. Not a problem. It's sometimes I suck at recognizing if someone is trolling, someone is being sarcastic. And it's because I get so many comments that I kind of slow down reading the comments as well. Because sometimes I'm like, wait, what? So not your fault, my fault. So I appreciate then if you weren't actually saying it. I might have misunderstood you there. So no problem. I take it back. Let's see. Ruroni asks, Metatron YouTube, would you ever do a dedicated video on whether or not the brothers and sisters of Jesus mentioned in the Gospels were the children of Joseph and Mary? That's a very interesting topic. It could be one of the... I mean, right now I've got other videos for the Bible series that I post every month and a half, because those take me forever to be made. I want to make a dedicated video to the flood and see other connections to other surrounding civilizations and previous legends and stories. So I'd like to do that first, the flood, and then I wanted to reconsider the idea of the historicity of Jesus. That's another thing I want to look. I was considering making a video dedicated to Paul, because Paul is an interesting character due to the Roman citizenship, because as you know, he was born in Cilicia, Cilicia in classical Latin, which basically would be modern day Turkey. The southern part, the one that faces the Mediterranean, because the northern part of Turkey would have been the Roman province of Pontus. Maybe I should make a dedicated video on Roman provinces. What about that? How about that? I should totally do that. Yeah. Anyways, that could be an interesting one to talk about. What it meant to have citizenship as an early Christian, and what things you could do, what things the law would and would not do to you. That could be interesting. So I'll consider it. And I'm just checking. Thank you, Messianic Resources, for the donation. You seem to have a good name. Your good name cannot be smeared by others' opinion. It can only be smeared by failing in your integrity, which I've not seen evidence of. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I think, yeah, most people... The other day I was going around Reddit for some reason. So I was like, let me see what Reddits you've got with my name. And I got to say, there was this Reddit of this person that was... He referenced my video on Elagabalus in English, the Roman emperor that is usually mentioned as being transgender, and then people use his preferred pronouns. And then I made a whole video, and this person was like, has Metatron fallen? Has he become a hateful, transphobic, blah, blah, blah? And then a lot of people defended me on Reddit. I was like, what's going on? I was expecting everyone to insult me. So many people were defending me. And they were like, bro, did you watch the video? Because there is nothing transphobic. It's just sharing facts. And the guy's like, oh, no, I didn't watch it. Great. That says it all. DJ Medeiros, thank you for the $5. Quote, history is a pack of fables that is agreed upon. Napoleone Bonaparte. It's a bit reductive, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of those things similar to the statement, history is written by the victor. Up to one point, up to a certain extent, the statement is true. Of course, someone who wins, they will kind of manipulate the historical record, and most importantly the school system, in order to teach what they want, and it's advantageous for them. But then again, we are aware of those historians, particularly like in the Roman period, and that's why we connected with surrounding sources, right, to kind of understand, okay, but what is the truth, whether it be material goods, whether it be literary sources, whether it be sculptures, whether it be stelae or surrounding civilizations. So at the end of the day, history is written by historians. Do governments put their hands into it? Yes. But the idea that when you say like history is written by the victors, it's half true and half not. It kind of depends, and it's kind of a case to case scenario. And hello, Baron Boom Boom Boom, good to have you here. And so it's a similar situation in this case. Yes, some we agree upon, yes, but there is evidence that is reviewed. Like when I agree that the Romans wore this specific type of armor is because we have evidence to demonstrate that what we are saying is real. Captain Yan Yan has been a member for 2 months. Appreciate that. Have you checked the members only videos? By the way, if you're a Patreon, my members only videos are also posted on Patreon, by the way, because I don't want people to pay twice. There are other members only things that I literally, it's out of my power, whether it be live streams only for members, or like during regular live streams like today, I could have like a 5 minutes only for members just to thank. It's a way to thank. This is all extra stuff. My regular videos will never be put behind a paywall, but I do make extra videos. And then there are many perks that members enjoy, like even the dedicated Discord. And those, my hands are tied. But when it comes to the extra videos, because I don't want, people are already paying on Patreon, and I don't want people to be like, no, you gotta pay me again. So those videos eventually do get posted on Patreon. It's just that Patreon has a different schedule. So if I post a video members, it will be a few days after that will be posted on Patreon. But just so you know that if you're a Patreon, you're not missing out on the videos. There are some perks that I think are very nice with memberships. So you should check them out if you want. But then again, just wanted to let you know this. I'm out of the loop. Why is Metatron being accused of lying? That's what people who disagree with me tend to do. Not all of them. And there are some videos that are response videos to me that I very much appreciate. But a lot of the times you'll see it in the thumbnails. Metatron is a liar, European liar, white lies, which that's what you find. And so I was discussing how it's interesting, and it's a paradox in of itself, that because what I say on my videos is based on the evidence that comes from my team of researchers and my own research, once I see that evidence, if I say what they want in order for me not to be called a liar, I would be a liar, because the evidence doesn't show that. And so it's a paradox that the only way for me not to be accused of being a liar is to lie, which I'm not going to do. And here we are. Welcome to my life. Dan, thank you for the donation. I love your content, but recently I noticed frequently cursing F words. Profanity is a big issue for me, making it challenging for me to watch your videos. Could you please consider reducing cuss words? Well, you don't have to curse, and usually I don't curse too much. I do occasionally do it, but then again, I don't want to sound condescending nor patronizing, but I mean, we're all adults. I will do it occasionally, and then again, if you don't like that, I guess mute me. I don't know, in that situation, because again, I don't curse too much, because if I did, that could be a problem with the algorithm. So you know for a fact that I won't do it too much, but then again, I can't promise you that I will never ever use a swear word, because once again, if I do, I do. But what I can tell you is that I won't do it too often, because I literally can't, or I get demonetized, or like the yellow sign. So yeah. Casey Chapinski, thank you for the donation. Have you considered switching to Subscribe Star? Patreon is known for hosting material that depicts child harm, let's say, and protecting Well, I'll have to look into those allegations, because I'm not aware of those. We'll have to see. But then again, yeah, I'll look into it. But yeah, I mean, the Patreon, I have so many patrons that are paid already for a yearly subscription that I would feel horrible not to like literally remove that from them, and they've already paid. So no, Patreon is not going anywhere. If they are literally, yeah, I understand if they have people. I'll have to look into the allegations, because I can't just believe because someone says it. I have disagreed with how Patreon has operated in the past. But then again, I don't have a problem with the people that support me on Patreon. And at the end of the day, luckily, because I made my Patreon page, I'm a pioneer, which means I'm one of the first to open the Patreon page. The cut that they get from me is so small, and it will never change. So if you open a Patreon page now, you would have to give them a lot more money than I do. What they get from me is extremely small, because I'm a founder. Not a founder, but like a pioneer. It's a special account. Signor Nessuno, thank you for the $5. Appreciate your honesty and intelligence. Thank you so much. Appreciate your comment and support for the stream. Streams are fun. I think tonight we might play a little bit. Maybe on the not the first hour. We're just gonna read comments and have fun. Maybe after an hour and a half or so, I might put up a game. We could play a little bit. while I read the chat, just for fun, because I mean, why not? Let me put live chat so I make sure that I see every comment. Samuel F asks, do you know Hebrew? I have studied biblical Hebrew, but I couldn't hold a conversation in Hebrew right now. It's not one of the languages that I speak. I could do that in Japanese. I could do that in Mandarin. Of course, in English. I could do it in French up to a certain extent. But in Hebrew, no. But I have studied it enough to be able to, take a passage in the original language and, with the help of specialized dictionaries, translate it. And I have experience with that, yes. Hello from Poland. Hello, Marek. I was actually reviewing your history during World War II. Goodness gracious, you guys had to put up with so much. You're probably literally because if you're Polish, you probably come from people who've really had to survive for what happened, both from Germany and the Austrian painter and the Soviets on the east, and all the people that got, oh my gosh, the stuff that happened in Poland is crazy. Okay. Metatron, you should watch Henry V, 1944. The armor in the movie is historically accurate. I believe it. Productions from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, even all the way up to the late 70s, early 80s, is top notch. Like Ivanhoe, it's really good. I mean, not perfect, but definitely better than the stuff we have today. Also, when it comes to the new movies set in like medieval period or Rome, it seems like they rent it. Like I think because I keep seeing the same props going around different productions, so I'm starting to think that they just reuse the same stuff. So it is what it is, I suppose. I'm hoping Metatron pulls off his real fake hair wig. Could you imagine if this was a wig for all these years, and I'm actually bald, completely bald. So let's see. Sir Nervin says, I appreciate your language related content since I'm a language enthusiast, but I love to see in a language. Are you subscribed to my second channel, Metatron's Academy? That's all I do there. And I will be streaming soon on that channel too. Because I was thinking, as a way to kind of counter the fake polyglots, the ones that like memorize a sentence, make a video, and pretend to speak 15 languages, but then they always shy away from actual online confrontation to prove it. I was thinking, hey, how about I make a live stream and I change language every 120 seconds? I would, and then I would like, now you do it to the people that pretend, because they piss me off. It's like I take it privately, personally, like at a personal level. So yeah. Random person says, is Patreon or YouTube membership better? They're both pretty much the same to me, so you can choose. If you want to support the stream, feel free. You can choose Patreon, you can choose membership. Of course, membership, Patreon, one thing I only do on Patreon is unboxing. So whenever I buy a new piece of armor, I unbox it on Patreon. It has been traditionally something that I've always done on Patreon. But when it comes to members, I should consider also probably moving it to members as well, so that so the videos should probably overlap, and they will. Eventually overlap the extra videos. But then again, when you join members, you do get extra perks, like the live streams, like I will see your comments, because I get a priority box for comments from members, and you get like the emojis and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't care about the emojis, it is much more likely that I will respond to your comment on my videos. And then so there is that when it comes to members, if you want to check it out. Okay, let's catch up with the comments. Hello, beautiful people. Romeo's here. Hello, Romeo. Good to have you here. Robert says, my hair is close to your length. Pretty cool. How long have you been working on it? Bold is no word on this channel. Literally, locomotion. All right, so a call of Guido something. Thank you for the donation. Hello, Metatron. Regarding Yasuke, I wanted to ask, Loxley claims that the title of samurai is loosely defined as a warrior in service to a feudal lord Thus, Yasuke would have been one. Is this true? In period, he has a point, but modernly, it's a little pedantic. What I mean by that is that in the modern period, when we say samurai, we know exactly what we mean. And that's why that's a talking point I usually don't use much. That is because, yeah, modernly, if you say a samurai modernly, we know exactly what we mean. We mean a warrior, boshi, part of the kind of that specific percentage in the population, and therefore it is true that in the Sengoku period, exception being a little bit the last 20 or 30 years or so, the term was used in a different way than the way we use it today. And then the further back you go, if you go all the way to the Heian period, you'll find other words to define warriors. Not even bushi. Sometimes you hear musha, M-U-S-H-A. That's where, for example, the video game Oni Musha, demon warrior. Well, musha is like an archaic word, even older. So yeah, depending on the period, different words would have different meanings. Also because the concept of being a samurai changes with time. In the late Sengoku period, you could be a half samurai, for example. That's something that happens, and it's a different thing altogether. So yeah, he does have a point, but it might be a little bit of a pedantic answer, because when people are telling you, was he a samurai, we know exactly what they're asking. And just telling them, technically, at the time, you could say that he's a samurai, because samurai had a different meaning. It did, but I think it's kind of it's a way to escape from it's a way to deflect the question. So once again, there is truth to it, but we know what we mean when we ask whether Yasuke was a samurai or not. So that's why I wouldn't use it as a strong talking point. It could be an interesting fun fact to add to the conversation, but it's definitely not a point that is going to defeat all arguments about this conversation itself, if that answers your question. Yeah, Frederick, is good. I could learn to do multiple streams simultaneously, one thing at a time. I'm really slow when it comes to tech. If it's medieval tech, it's different. Giovanni, thank you for supporting the stream. Should do an investigation video on church history. I swear this isn't an attempt to get you to convert to Catholicism. I appreciate Giovanni. Well, yeah, I recently posted a video on how powerful the church was, and of course I meant the Catholic Church. On that video, I do mention the schism, I think, for a moment, and the Orthodox Christianity. But yeah, I could continue. It's just that video didn't do very well in terms of views, and so it's not all about the views, but the views are important. I don't want to be hypocritical and tell you, oh guys, I don't care about the views. No, I do, because that's how I pay for my rent and support my wife and myself. So at the end of the day, I will make those videos, absolutely, but I also need to make other videos in between to make sure I continue keeping a steady amount of views, particularly for the algorithm's sake, because I don't want the algorithm to think, oh, this video is not doing well, and kind of put me into the forget zone, and that's not good for anyone, particularly me. Clueless Dude, thank you for the $10. If there was a language you could learn to fluency, but you have to learn the ancient form of the language and the history of the people, which language would you choose and why? So I get both, the ancient version and the modern version. Actually, Greek, I know a little bit of modern Greek, but it would be nice to become fluent in modern and ancient Greek at the same time, although of course the effort would be monumental. And if not Greek, then probably Hindi, and then connecting it to Sanskrit would be something interesting, because then you could, the reason being that you could then start reading ancient stuff and understanding directly without needing translation, which could kind of open a new series of possible videos and personal investigations. So that would be how I answer the question. Thank you for the support. Upcoming video schedule, asks Tiger Star. So I have a video coming up on the 20th, which is the history. It's a documentary. It's a mini documentary on the history of the true historical Dracula. So we're talking about Dracula, but actually Vlad III. So the son of the dragon, as they call him, son of Vlad II, who is of Vlad the Impaler, who is the real historical character upon whom Bram Stoker has, and even before him, they created the idea of Dracula the vampire. So that's coming out on the 20th. I've already made it and it's already edited, but because it's sponsored, I'm now waiting for the sponsor to kind of give me the green light and review the integration part. That's how it works. So the video is ready. But as soon as they tell me, yeah, go live, I'll go live. Probably going to happen on the 20th by contract. And then after that, on the 27th, we're going to talk about the Emperor Septimus Severus, we're discussing that, whether he was black or not, and ethnicity, because it's an interesting topic anyways. I also have a video coming up, which is instead from the, so on this video I'll be called a racist, but then I have a video that will have people call me woke, because we're going to talk about monumental architecture before the arrival of Europeans in Africa. And there is stuff, and it's interesting, and yes, people will tell me I'm woke. They already have when I announced it on Twitter, but hey, I don't care. It's just I tell it how it is, and we base it on evidence. So these are the videos coming up, and there will be more, but these are the ones that are scheduled. Thank you, Joes, for the donation. Good afternoon. Just joined. Good to have you here. Yes, you're a liar, said no one ever. I wish, but that's what people say. They accuse me of lying whenever I say something they disagree with, which, as we said, first is not a lie technically, because a lie requires intent, and it requires you to know that what you're saying is false, whereas I truly believe, and I would swear on the Bible that I truly believe that what I present is the truth, because it's based on the evidence from my team, the peer-reviewed my research and use their own. So I believe it. So already that makes it not a lie. And I was telling the number ones about the paradox that if I did say something, the only way for me not to be called a liar is to lie, because if I say what they want me to say, I don't believe it, and that makes it a lie. Isn't that fascinating how that happens? The only way I'm not going to be called a liar is by lying, and since I don't want to lie, I'll keep being called liar, and I don't care. Roborob asks how advanced were Neanderthals and Denisovans. Well, definitely more advanced than we would imagine. Of course, this is the Stone Age that you're referring to, and therefore, I mean, it is what it is. But they were not only able to create sophisticated tools, but I was actually impressed at the sort of jewelry and art that Denisovans, if I'm pronouncing it right, I don't know how you pronounce it in English, Denisovan, I don't know, Denisovan is my guess. It's impressive. The jewelry, the stuff. I mean, definitely more talented than some of the people that leave comments and hate comments under my videos. I would take a Denisovan over them any day. Thank you, Michael Levanik. Hi, Metatron, for the support. I was curious, what is your Italian perspective on Croatian medieval history? If you've ever been in Zagreb, I'd love to buy you a beer. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. You know, I had a friend from Zagreb when I was living in England, and we were sharing our flat for a few months. So it was pretty cool to hear him say a few things in Croatian. I believe Croatian is the language, but Croat is the person. Am I correct? The nationality? So you would be a Croat who speaks Croatian, regardless. In general, anything that is either Central European or Eastern European from a medieval perspective, fascinating. And that's why I'm making, for example, this video about Dracula, because I want to start a series on Eastern European, Central European. When I say Central European, I mean, of course, Czech Republic, because Czech Republic and the Kingdom of Bohemia is not Eastern Europe. But yeah, Eastern Europe is absolutely interesting, and I'm starting with Dracula, Transylvania and whatnot, but we will do more stuff about that. So thank you for the comments. Stop using Muppet as an insult. My mother was a Muppet. All right, Muppet. Jewel Flame asks a very good question. Why does everyone, well, not everyone, but some people do, think you are a transphobe? I had someone block after I sent you your LGBT Chris video. Yeah, I think people are becoming very sensitive. And there are two types of people that might think I'm a transphobe or a homophobe and whatever phobe you want. There are people that are literally so radicalized that now anything that doesn't agree with them gets those words, and therefore they are not these words are not a pretext for a conversation, but they are slurs. So they're just toxic people, and they can go to HELL. But then there are people who maybe they wouldn't be, but it's just that they got so sensitive now, because there are people that are really hateful out there, and I'm not one of them, but I can understand why, because I gotta be honest about it. Maybe seeing a specific title or seeing a specific thumbnail, they might think that way. Now, the reason why I make specific thumbnails is not just for the clicks, but it's because I want to draw in people from everywhere. Because at the end of the day, I just support and pander to the truth. I only care about the truth. I hate no one except for extremists and, truly hateful people. But I don't even hate them. I just kind of want to get them out of my life, because who needs toxicity in their life? We already have to work. We already have to do what we need to do. And life is difficult as is. So we don't need toxicity. We need positivity. But I do want to attract as many people as possible in my comment section, because then you expose them to critical thinking, to logic, to reasons, to, hey, here is how you talk about something without adding slurs, without attacking people directly, without the need of ad hominem. And maybe that can help them change and de-radicalize them, whether they be far left or far right. That's why sometimes, like, I've seen people telling me, oh, I saw 3-4 comments and these were full on alt-right people. I'm like, okay, good. I'm glad they are in there, because if they are young, they are probably being radicalized. And by watching my videos, where every time I say these people wearing black, I also say we shouldn't be racist towards anyone, whether it be white, black, I condemn all of it. And yeah, these day and age, if you also condemn anti-white, it kind of overlaps with right-wing talking points. I don't care, because I'm against all forms of racism, so that includes anti-white sentiment. But then again, I also say, hey, we are all humans, and don't attack people, attack arguments, be civil about it. And if someone is being radicalized, whether it be in the far right or the far left, but they are young, they're impressionable, which means they might look at me, and I try to say this, I don't want to sound arrogant, but there are youngsters that look up to me. I know that. I'm trying not to be arrogant about it, but it happens. And maybe they look at me and they're like, hey, I thought that in order to be successful in life and be cool, I needed to be a radical. But now I see this YouTuber, me, and he's successful, he gets views, he's financially doing well. And so now I want to be like him. So I'll drop, whatever toxic element, and that makes them a little more moderate. And they can still be right-wingers, they can still be left-wingers, but at least they de-radicalize a little bit. So yes, I'm happy. Even if people that say bad things in the comments, as long as they're there, they still get to listen. And some people will change, and I know they have, because they tell me about it. So thank you, Kaikus Productions. I appreciate you saying that I'm not arrogant. Thank you. I try, because I think sometimes even a small, because I'm not like huge, I'm not freaking, I don't know, Jacksepticeye, but the channel is doing well. Some videos get a lot of views, and sometimes popularity can get to your head, particularly when you see that like money's coming in, and so this is becoming a successful business. I'm not rich, but I'm not poor either, and so I think sometimes that can get to your head, which is why I always try to be like, no, it's just me. It's just me. It's just me, and thanks to my team, the research is what it is now. But it's important that I need to keep reminding myself, because I think it's easy to get to a point where you start thinking you are the shit if things go well. And I don't think that that's good for anyone. Why do they call you woke, says Vagos G? Because I tend to debunk anything, regardless of whether said position that has to do with history or language is being pushed by the left or it's being pushed by the right. So when I debunk something from the left, sometimes they will call me, yeah, of course, the usual stuff, transphobic, homophobic, racist, blah, 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 far-right grifter and this kind of stuff. But when it does happen that I'm presented evidence and I'm like, wait, I think this is wrong, and maybe it's being presented by a famous or popular right-wing speaker or channel, and I debunk it, then sometimes those people get pissed too, and then what do they call me? Woke. They call me Wokatron. That was the thing, and I don't care. That's the thing. I'm like, okay, you got that out of your system. Now what is the counter arguments that you present in terms of actual evidence? Can you read the sources? Because all together with my team, we can read something like 14 languages, because the team is so good, and I keep saying that. And let me tell you something about the team is gonna make you giggle. But my team is, and it took me years to put it together, by the way. I've been working, the team has been solid for about 2.5 years, but I've been trying for like a lot longer than that to find the right people to collaborate. And it took me so long, but the team grew organically and naturally, because my only parameter to become a member of the team, behind the productions on my channel is meritocracy. You need to be good at what you do. I don't care about your politics. I don't care about your sexuality. I don't even know the sexuality of half my team. A couple of people I do know, but simply because we talked about it maybe during dinner, whatever it is. But in general, I don't even need to know. I don't care. And I don't care where you're from. And initially, the team was mostly Italian for obvious reason. I'm Italian, so I have contacts through my previous job as a teacher. And so within the academic world, it was easier to find Italians. But the team expanded. And what's funny is that it naturally became diverse, but not because of DEI. It's the least DEI team on the planet. But it became diverse naturally. One of the members of my team is black, for example. And it became diverse naturally because that was the best person for the job. So I don't care where he's from or what he looks like. And it just naturally happened. But it took years because there is no DEI agenda in it, only meritocracy. You need to be the best one for the job in that specific case. And as I say, sexuality doesn't matter. There is a very nice... I'm a grista for the truth. Thank you, Fanfris. One person that I have found, not recently, I found this person a year ago, and I've been reviewing their work for a year. This is how long it takes me sometimes to select a team member. And their work is fantastic. Now, this person happens to be transgender. Do I care? No, because I don't care. So I still have to reach out to this individual and ask, hey, do you want to come help with the historical research? If they say no, it's no. But if they say yes, as I say, there's no, I don't care about your personal life. Who cares? I looked at what they can do in terms, and this is a historian with a degree, high level degree. So I'm like, good. But that's the team. The majority of the team is Italian. I don't care if people think that makes me, oh, you're so horrible, whatever. But that's my thing. Vagos G asks, what are your political stances? I am a moderate politically. So sometimes I'll agree with the right from an American perspective, and sometimes I'll agree with the left on some economic aspects. So it kind of depends. And in other social aspects, I'm very live and let live. But yeah, that's me. That's who I am. I'm definitely not a radical, like people say, call me far right grifter. It's nonsense when they say that. It's just an insult. That's what it is. And I'm definitely not woke. Isn't it funny that I have to say that? But I have to say that because that's what some people are telling me. Thank you, Janik. When you say your attitude is really refreshing, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And as I say, one of the things that I've recently let people know in my members, and then I'll read the super chat from Romeo, I saw it, is that I'm doubling down as an author. I'm writing a book. I'm already on page 35. And at the same time, I've been learning Unreal Engine 5 and I'm becoming a developer. So I'm making a game, hopefully a series of games. And I'm going to show you my games, and my book will have zero politics. Zero. I don't care what they do. If they try to cancel me, if they offer me life-changing amount of money to inject politics, not going to happen. Not going to happen. 100%. Elizabeth, thank you for the donation. Lil Infamy is a YouTuber who specializes in Japanese folklore and history. He may be fun for you to connect with. Also, my son says hi. Hello to Elizabeth's son, and thank you. Sorry it took me forever to read your super chat, and I'll definitely check out the YouTuber you mentioned. And so let me read the other super chat. Higashi Martial Arts, good. You're always here. You're a regular, my mate. You're a regular. What's up, bro? Good to see you. Nice watch. Thank you so much. Good to have you here. We're having a great time. Sean McGinty, thank you for the $5. God bless you and your family. What watch are you wearing? Ring? Wearing? Oh, right now, maybe you mean? So this is from a sponsor. A sponsor got it to me, and I wanted to wear it to lunch today with my in-laws because we went to the restaurant. I had a fantastic ribeye. It was really good. Like Americans, you can tell Americans all you want about their fast food, but they know how to make a steak. Like for me, top notch. Anyways, so I was wearing it and I thought it looked really good. On the 27th is the video that this sponsor is going to be on. So if you like the watch, you could get a discount through the link there. So yeah, and when it comes to the rings, well, this is my wedding band, and this is just a ring from Viking Jewelry. It's another sponsor. Like literally, sponsors put stuff on me. But they gave me this like 5 years ago. Yeah, when they started supporting me. How's the medieval chicken video going? Good day. Thank you, Romeo. What's the medieval chicken video? Yeah, Tiger says, related to the LGBTQ Greece video, would you be interested in making a video on Sappho and the language she wrote her poems in? We are making it. That video is in the making. It's one of the videos that I'm getting for probably next month, simply because I slowed down a little bit production because I need to work on a few other projects, including the book and the game. But yeah, next month that video is coming out because I'm making a video on like, gosh, what was the title? Like 5 historical people who were actually gay. And the reason why I decided to make that video is because, you know me, if I say these people were gay, since I have no agenda in that favor, in the sense of the activism behind it, then you know these people were actually. And of course, if that offends you, sometimes this offends you, then don't watch it. No one is forcing people to watch it. But yeah, one of the people we wanted to talk about was her. And her poems. So absolutely, because yeah, in my original video, the LGBT video that got like a lot of views, could I have made it better? Sure, probably by making it longer, but I didn't know it was going to explode like that. So yeah, there are definitely things that I haven't covered on that video. I admit that. I still think it's a solid video, by the way, but there are definitely things that I could have covered better, or I should have talked about. And so yeah, we will make videos about it. Thank you. Muppet phobia. Okay, Frog says, yeah, that's me. I'm Muppet phobic. Yeah. Casey, what are you going to do when you hit 1 million subs? Oh gosh, I have no idea. I mean, right now the channel is kind of slow in the growth. It had a big boost a few months ago, and then now it's growing at about, I think it's 5,000 people a month. So unless this changes, which usually does, it's an up and down. But if it maintains a 5,000 growth a month, it's going to take a long time to get to the million. But I do believe that it might go faster than that, particularly because of a few videos that I'm producing now. Victor Gabriel, Metatron is called right winger for the same reason he's called woke. He debunks light. Yeah, I just debunk, like, yeah, when it's like not substantiated by some by evidence, then I'll debunk it because of that, not because of who says it. I don't care who says it. I care about what they're saying. Bring back meritocracy. I agree, Raphael, that is, for example, the idea of meritocracy, the whole concept of meritocracy is one of those elements where I agree with the American right, moderate right. But then again, like, for example, when it comes to socioeconomics, one of the things that we have in Italy, whether you be right or left winger, is that we all have universal healthcare. So that would be probably one of the positions when I agree in principle with the American left. Now, whether that could be pulled off in America or not, I don't know, because I'm not a policymaker, so I'm not going to speak about things that I know absolutely nothing about. So I don't know if they have a good point when it comes. But I do like the idea that, you know, even if you're very poor, at least you can access. I know there are like infinite lists. I'm very aware of that. But at least in Italy, when my mom was, you know, we were battling cancer and I did the crowdfunding, of course she was on those lists, but the waiting time was terrible. And she needed to be to receive a support. Now, I still think it's good if for people who do not have the means to at least have a little bit of basic care. But when it comes to my mom, since we did the crowdfunding, then yeah, that allowed us to basically go to private, and that meant she got immediately the support she needed. Now, given, not to get dark, and I won't focus on this, but unfortunately her cancer was so advanced they killed her off in 3 months. But thanks to your support, those 3 months we gave her the best possible support that we could, and I will always be eternally grateful to you. And now the rest of the money, apart from, you know, I reimbursed myself, which I said I would, by the way, on the video. I reimbursed myself for all the plane tickets I had to buy with my wife, which literally I spent a lot of money to go back and forth to be with my mom as much as possible. But the rest of the money now, I've been, of course, paying for my dad's expenses, because he has the lowest possible, what do you say? Gosh, what do you say it in English? Pension. So because my mum was the one getting the highest pension, but the pension that she was getting died with her. So now my dad isn't basically not enough to even pay rent. So I pay his rent and whatever he needs, his bills and food, still from the money from the crowdfunding that was left. So yeah. but that's how it is, the situation. But yeah, so as I say, kind of depends. I'm one of those people when it comes to politics, and then I'll stop politics and we talk about something else. But I'm one of those people that we can sit down, whether you be left or right or centrist, and we could just talk, civilly. With civility, and yeah, there will be things we will disagree on, but I kind of prefer to build upon common ground when I have conversation before we go into the aspects that we may disagree on. Dr. Bohangles asks, was Alexander the Great gay? Not in the modern sense, but if you are what you're asking, so he didn't have like a boyfriend or in the modern sense, but if you're asking if he was same-sex attracted, then according to the way we saw the evidence, yes. I think he slept with whoever he wanted. He was a powerful individual. He was a son of his period, so he was from the classical period where things weren't frowned upon the same way as with, for example, medieval Europe. So, and being a powerful man, anything that he would find attractive, he would sleep with. And he was handsome, so imagine that. He was powerful, rich, and handsome. So yeah, I do believe, we read the sources very deeply with my team, and we strongly believe that he was closer to a modern day bisexual. And by the way, that's where I got called woke by some people, because they told me you slander him. And I'm like, we're talking about the classical period. How is this slander? We're looking at the evidence. Why does it matter to you at that point? I want to ask, how does that change? I'm straight. The fact that Alexander the Great may have slept with men doesn't change the way I live my life. If people ask me, like this subscriber did now, I'll tell you what the evidence says. And the evidence, in my opinion, points towards the idea that he did sleep with women and men. So it is what it is. But I'm happy, I'm open to review people to disagree with me. I know there are channels that disagree with me. That's fine. Present the evidence, and we'll review it. More than happy. And if I'm proven wrong, I'll say it. Absolutely. People say that's great. I'm wait. Thank you. Sorry I'm so slow at reading comments. Higashi Martial Arts, thank you for the donation. Yay, bro. Always got to stop by to say hi. I appreciate that. Every Saturday, mate. It's like an appointment. Trying to be a member, but I don't see the join button next to subscribe on your channel, but I will. Maybe not here, but you would see it on a regular video. I think if you open a regular video, and thank you, by the way, you'll find already a few interesting videos, and I will start doing live streams in the evening for members. Just again, this is all, remember, extra content, extra stuff. As I was saying, my policy is this. You can clip me if you want. None of my regular content will ever be put behind a paywall. It's always going to be extra to say thank you. But the regular stuff stays open to anyone. Because not everyone has $5 a month to pay. People struggle in our day and age. So whoever does it, I really appreciate. Kaisus Production, Mr. Metatron, is your book is not a history one? Can you tell us about its magic system? No magic at the moment on the book. So yeah, the book, well, actually, wait, no, there is magic on one of the books that I'm writing. Sorry, one is fantasy. It is medieval inspired, but it is fantasy, and there is a reason why. And I just need a little longer to explain that reason. Maybe I'll do it later on the stream. But yeah, there is magic. As just I'll look into it in a little bit. Perhaps we could discuss it. Let's see. Aki says something interesting. Being moderate is one of the most extreme and surprisingly polarizing political stances. Let me tell you this. People have called me a coward on Twitter because they said, you're a moderate, you're a coward. First, that's a very stupid way to approach it, because if they do it with me, it means they do it, and this has happened with both right-wingers and left-wingers, by the way. So first, if you're doing it with me, it means that that's how you call every single moderate that you run into on Twitter. That is, from a strategic standpoint, extremely disadvantageous for your team. Not with me, but moderates, when the country is split, when any country is split, this happened historically too, when any country is split in two, and you have, it's difficult to find a majority. In America, they're called swing states, but in general, moderates can make or break elections. And the thing is that imagine that you are a right-winger and you're like, hey, I got it. Yeah, right. Okay. If you insult moderates, you are creating recruits for the left, if you understand what I mean. Same way, if you're a left-winger and you start calling all moderates racists, you're literally pushing them right. So these people are working to the detriment of their positions. This is how stupid of a way to treat others is. And the thing, as I say, is that that's why sometimes politicians will present moderate takes, because it's impossible, almost impossible, for a right winger to have a radicalized left winger that all of a sudden starts voting right. Not going to happen. And vice versa. It's very difficult for a left winger politician to convince the radical right to start voting left. Or who can they convince? The moderates. And that's why sometimes politicians will do that, because they understand the strategy. People that go around insulting moderates and calling us cowards are the people that don't understand the strategy and are in fact working in favor of the opposition. And, you know, I like strategy. Whether it be from same side, other side, I like strategy when it's well applied. And therefore, by the same logics, I hate stupid strategy. So it's not even the fact that you're calling me a coward, which is stupid, because I get hate from both. Being a moderate is the least coward thing you can do. Because it's a lot easier to speak in your echo chamber and say stuff that people agree with. Like the other day, I was invited over at Shad's second channel, and I went because I go to other people's channels when I'm invited. So we spoke, and some of the things I said, I know that predominantly his audience is conservative. My audience is quite mixed. I get conservatives, liberals, apolitical centrists, people that don't care. I got all the Martian supremacists. I get everything. But most of his audience, I believe, tends to be on the conservative side, particularly on his second channel, not on his main, but on his second channel. And I knew that some of the things that I was going to say, people would agree, but there were a couple of things that I said that kind of upset some of the people. And that's the thing. If you speak in your echo chamber, that doesn't take courage. And I'm not speaking about Shad, I'm speaking about people in general. It's easy. If you say conservative things to conservatives, they'll agree with you. If you say liberal stuff or progressive stuff to progressives, they'll agree with you. But when you're a moderate, you get hated by both sides. So it is a position of courage, without taking anything away from people who are strong in their beliefs. That's fine, but don't go around insulting moderates because you're not helping your case. Just saying. Raphael says, is a moderate the same as being a centrist? It can overlap. It's just that the way I mean it, when you are purely a centrist is one thing. For me, I do lean right on some elements and left on others. So that's why I like using the word moderate, because I'm like, it kind of depends. Let's talk about the policies. Let's talk about what are we discussing, and then I'll tell you. So on some elements, I am centrist, and on others, I will lean one side or the other. So yeah, that's how I see it. That is insanity. I agree, Robert. People that attack like that is insane. It is insane. So yeah. Let's see. XX Burke says citizens shouldn't ally themselves with either political party, in my opinion. Well, people should be free to do it, and I am very for freedom when it comes to that. I like leaving. That's why I'm very pro freedom of speech, because I believe that it's important for people to be able to express themselves freely. And the reason I'm pro freedom of speech, usually when it comes to this, and I say that very vocally on Twitter, is not because I want people to be able to hate as much as they want. I don't think it should be illegal to hate, just as it's not illegal to call someone an idiot. But at the same time, the reason why I'm very protected, because I hate people that are hateful, and I'm not. I'm very polite. I don't do that. But the reason why I'm very protective for freedom of speech is because I've studied history, and oftentimes it's the beginning of totalitarianism. Is when you lose freedom of speech, then freedom of the press. If you study history, come in.
Hi.
Come in. My wife has come here, so there we go. No, not at all. Come in. I like what Lion said. Lion of Judah says, Jesus looked at behavior, not skin color. Exactly.
Hi, chat. Oh, I'm very blue.
Yeah, because yes. I love my blue lights. I don't know what it is.
Hi, chat. Locomotion says, hi, wife. Hi.
Hi, Locomotion. Isn't that a fun name?
It's a very fun name. I wanted to come in here and just tell you,
yes.
Just make sure everything was okay, because me and Mom were going to start booking.
What does that mean,
like
booking?
hotels,
Okay, cool. Yeah, do that.
just for.
Yeah, do that. Whatever you guys like. We'll have to be careful where they are located, though.
Oh, we try to find something that's really central, just to
Okay.
make sure. Like in Rome, we've only
This
done
is
Rome
Rome.
so far. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, keep it like as close as possible to either the Colosseum, Fountain of Trevi, stuff that we know.
Yeah, the one we've already. I should have told you
Hi.
this before, but we actually already did book Rome.
Okay, cool. No problem.
But it's like 6 minutes walk to Trevi
Fantastic.
Fountain.
I love it.
5 minutes to
Love it. Love
the
it.
Spanish Steps.
Yeah. So they're
And
saying.
we're just trying to, hi everybody, how are you doing? Happy Saturday.
So you're doing Milan now?
I think we're gonna do Florence next.
Okay, I don't know anything
I
where
know,
to go
I
there,
know.
so yeah,
But no, we're trying to find places that are like good, but
not too expensive.
right.
Yeah, sure.
But it's getting kind of hard because I feel like a lot of places are really already booked up for October.
Right.
So, anyways, I won't keep you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day.
He's going centrist on the hotels. Yeah.
Oh my god.
That is a great one, Contrash. Appreciate that. Take care. Thank you. Thank you.
I love you. Do you need anything?
No, I got my water.
Okay.
And I've got my games,
Very nice.
like this one here, which is
You have
old
to
school.
tell them about Chun-Li that you got.
Oh yeah, you did get a new Chun-Li, Jada. I
She's
don't know.
pink.
Yeah, she's pink, and you got a good Chun-Li. Oh my god, it's a wife. Yeah, it's a wife. Yeah, well, 5 minutes walk is nothing. I agree, Matthias. So yeah, we're going back to Italy. Spend a few weeks there with my in-laws, so I can take them around. The only thing that I hope is that they don't make me go walk too much, because when I don't know if you agree with me or not, but talking about holidays and vacations, I like to kind of relax. So I will go out for breakfast, maybe go out for lunch, dinner, but then I enjoy spending time in the hotel, relaxing, a little air conditioning, reading something, playing a little Heroes of Might and Magic on my laptop. Instead, I'm afraid that I think. Yeah, no problem. I'm afraid that they will want to walk a lot, like all day, visiting 17 different sites, and that kind of scares me. I'll be honest with you, also because I'm the guy who speaks the language. I'm from Italy, so I need to be with them the entire time. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Nice to meet you. Hello, hello. All the hellos to the wife. I'll tell her later. Yeah, I married up, Robert. Yeah, I married 2 years ago. It's been 2 years, 2.5. Will you make videos still? So yeah, my idea is I will pre-record a few videos, and then I have a bunch of editors, because I told you the team expanded. So now I have 3 editors. And they don't edit all of my videos, but in that situation, I won't be able to do actual editing. So for the videos in October, I'll have my editors probably do that. So like I send them a few videos, film them all in batch, so that these videos can go up while I'm there. And then I'll live stream. I'll live stream from Rome. I might do a live stream from Milan. Thank you, Jamilia. I appreciate that. I do agree. My wife is beautiful. I'm very lucky. Baron, thank you for the comment. Just teach them the essentials, Raf. Yeah, you can't do that, particularly with my in-laws. They're not gonna learn Italian. There is no impossible. I have to go with them. It is what it is. Italy vlog when? Yeah, in October. We'll do that in October. I have a couple. A harpsichord. I'll take it, Celt. I'll take a harpsichord. It's very medieval of you. Late medieval, early Renaissance, should we say. I hate people that are hateful is a paradox. A little bit, I guess. And yeah, it is, because then I become hateful. That's a good point. Appreciate that. Very cool. I might use that. I might steal it. I might use it on one of my videos. I like it. But yeah. Well, you're wrong, Adair Jane. I mean that with no disrespect, of course, because you're entitled to say whatever you want. But you do say black people didn't build a single anything, as far as I can tell. Well, you haven't studied the history. So that's why you think that. And we will prove it, because I am putting together a video of, the kind of monumental architecture that occurred in Africa. Personally, I still prefer ancient Roman architecture. That's my favorite over the whole world. But it's important to underline that, yes, that exists. The bonus hotels, thank you for the dollars. Speaking of liars, Elon Musk is one. Lied about making the platform that shall not be named free speech. We have been perma-gulagged since April. Really? But I wonder what happened though, because usually Elon Musk has been pretty good at, you know, protecting freedom of speech. I think it kind of depends though, because remember that there are two ways in which we can discuss freedom of speech. There is the concept of freedom of speech, and which means you can say whatever you want whenever you want. That's the concept of freedom of speech. And then there is the legal aspect within civilization of freedom of speech, which is normally here in the States connected, as you can teach me, to the First Amendment of the Constitution. And within the second version, the latter, not the philosophical concept, but the idea in which it works in our society, then not all speech is protected, in the sense that, and I'm not talking about hate speech, obviously, and I'm not talking about hate speech. I'm talking about, for example, inciting violence. So it kind of depends. I don't know what you said, but yeah, if someone says, go and do this crime or attack this person, then yes, they should be. Their speech is not protected in our society. So there are exceptions. There are exceptions, and sometimes people are like, it's only the exception of crime, but that's not true. There is the exception of forum. And again, this comes from someone who absolutely protects freedom of speech. I absolutely protect it. But we also need to be realistic in the sense that forum makes a case. There are things you can say with your mates at the pub, and in that case, if someone complains, freedom of speech, but you cannot repeat the same things if they, for example, if we're talking about obscenity, if you are in a classroom in an elementary school. Right? So the forum in which you say some things may also put you in a position where your speech should not be protected. And and that's what a person who believes in freedom of speech and the Constitution will admit. Because complete, pure, absolute freedom of speech, where you can literally incite to violence without any repercussion, can only work if you buy a piece of land and then, remove yourself from that country. Then your land, your law, whatever you want. But yeah, that's my position on it, at least. But the reason why I say I'm very protective of freedom of speech is because I have studied history, of course, because it's something I enjoy doing, and it is the first thing that goes with totalitarian regimes, whether it be Stalin, whether it be Mussolini, Benito Mussolini, or whether it be the Austrian painter. The flags are different, the colors are different, the economics are different. The overall core elements are different, but the one thing they have in common is that the same way you couldn't go to Rome and say that Mussolini, you couldn't say something against the Duce and return to your family alive. Same way in the Kremlin, you think you could speak against Stalin? No, you couldn't. He would be put. So that's the one thing, and that's the same for the Austrian painter. In fact, he systematically removed all of his opponents, political opponents, and people that he called dissidents, through violence. So definitely freedom of speech was not a thing there. But freedom of speech existed in ancient Rome. There were some repercussions sometimes. I actually have a video dedicated on the channel. You could look for it if you're interested. Thank you for the donation. We expressed our views on capital punishment. They called it violent speech, despite what we said, not breaking any laws. We are even blocked from sending further appeals. I understand. Well, without the actual context, I can't really comment on it. But yeah, if you have been wrongly treated, which is a possibility, maybe, I don't know if you want to review it with a lawyer. That could be a thing. And then in that case, I would say that you have been wronged. But then again, it depends. It depends on what you said specifically, I imagine. But yeah, if that's what happened, I mean, it's unfortunate. What is your favorite conspiracy theory, says HB. Thank you for the $5. My favorite conspiracy theory, in the sense that do I have to believe in it to be my favorite, or can it be my favorite because it makes me laugh? It's kind of an important element for me to know. So I would have to see. You know what's interesting about conspiracy theories, though, is that I am very skeptical of all conspiracy theories, but I do accept the fact that every once in a while a conspiracy theory will come true. And that is an important element. So you have to be skeptical, but open-minded a little bit. Because just saying, oh, it's a conspiracy, might put you in a position where you will say it's a conspiracy and then it was true all along. So yeah, keep an open mind, review the sources, before you make any decision, and always move towards it with skepticism, is my way to approach conspiracy theories. For example, ancient Rome didn't exist as a conspiracy theory. It's nuts. But there are other conspiracy theories that sometimes you might think and be like, you know, let's see what else we got. Exactly, yeah. Kaikus says, right, you can't plan or ask for a crime in America. Exactly. And I agree with that. I don't think they should change that. I think the Constitution should stay as it's written, because the way it's written in the First Amendment, I think it's very well done. And I don't think they should change it. They shouldn't add extra layers to prohibit speech. I don't think that that's right. But also, I don't think they should remove those instances that are where it is in fact illegal to say some things, and they are well reasoned, because yeah, absolutely, particularly if you have influence. Like, imagine what influencers could do if that didn't happen on both sides. That could be problematic at that point. And not because of the side, but because some people are nuts. If you're not, then it doesn't matter which side you are. If some people are crazy, some people are crazy. So yeah, I'm very pro freedom of speech. I'll always be. Metatron, always remember the Trajan column. Oh yes, I do, Matthias Frank, I do. We always visit it, in fact. I need to take them to the Trajan column at one point. Can you do a video about graffiti in ancient Rome, says Mia Stupid? Yeah, that could be cool. I mean, it's very specific. Maybe I could add I don't know if I can pull off an entire video on graffiti, but maybe within the concept of a wider topic, there could be a section on graffiti in ancient Rome that could be interesting. It's going to get quite non-safe for work. So there is that. Exactly, Samuel. That's a good point. You say authoritarianism exists on both the left and the right. Yeah, on the extreme ends. Although the problematics of fascism and Nazism, starting from the doctrine of socialism, is a bit of a deep dive. And I do have a video that is coming up. I'll probably post it on the 30th of this month if I can make it on time. Otherwise, it will be at the beginning of next month, where I actually asked the question, was Nazism left-wing or right-wing? And what's interesting is that I will present a very good case, but then I will ask you what you guys think. So they don't look at it as, oh, I'm just going to tell you how it is on that case, but I will present my case. When you ask the question whether Nazis left-wing or right-wing, we need to first discuss the question before we can come up with any answer that can be coherent in any possible way, whether it be logical, whether it be historical. And what I mean by that, again, I'll expand on the video, and I'll do it much better job because the video will be scripted, whereas here I'm just improvising. But the core element is the same. When you ask this question, you're asking the question from the wrong temporal standpoint and from the wrong geographical standpoint. Because when you ask, is Nazism left-wing or right-wing, you're asking it from the perspective of American political dichotomy. But you're talking about European politics. So already the two things do not overlap perfectly for me to be able to tell you, oh, they're left-wing, oh, they're right-wing. So already we have a problem of spatial identification of the spectra, the political spectra, how it's understood in Europe and how it's understood in America. They are not the same. On some things they are similar, on some things they're not. The temporal problem with this approach, the question, is that you are projecting 21st century politics onto 20th century politics. So it's not problematic, and when I say problematic, I don't mean that you shouldn't ask it, but I mean the question is flawed. The question is flawed. We can still answer it, but in order to answer it correctly, we need to sit down, review the policies, review the characteristics from a socioeconomic standpoint, from a socioeconomic standpoint, from a military standpoint, from a core message and principle standpoint, and then I can tell you, on this, more similar to the left wing, on this, more similar on the right wing, from an American perspective. And that's what I'm doing with my video. People that give you a direct answer, whether it be, and I've seen channels do that, because I do a little bit of research before I produce the videos, people that give you an immediate answer, whether it be left-wingers that tell you, oh, they're right-wing, and then they give you some, for example, immigration policies to back that up, or whether it be people on the right that tell you, well, it's in the name, it's National Socialism, hence they're left-wingers. When people do that, it means they didn't look into the actual idea. They didn't look at it from the right perspective. And the correct perspective for me is to sit down and recognize the fact that you're applying 21st century American political spectrum onto 20th century European one. And if you don't recognize that, then whatever answer you give is simplistic, and in some cases, it's propagandistic. That's how I see it. But this is just a little bit of an improvised answer that I'm giving. On the video, I think I'll do a much better job, and that's what's gonna happen. Okay, favorite band, asks Tiger Star. Depends on my mood. So if I'm playing Warhammer miniatures, whether it be Warhammer 40k or fantasy, then I'm gonna listen to epic metal all along, like epic metal, absolutely. And so I will watch like, or even like, yeah, heavy metal, epic metal, like Stratovarius, kind of old school, Metallica, but 90s Metallica. I'm talking Ride the Lightning era. I will, so yeah, a lot of metal. When it comes to, but it depends on the mood, because I really like listening to classical music as well, like Rachmaninoff, for example. So it really depends. I do like Japanese pop or Korean pop sometimes. I thought it's good. It's pretty good. Particularly if it's like anime-esque in the sound. It kind of reminds me of the good old times when I was all into anime. So MZ, when you say it's literally right wing, I can present aspects of it that would overlap with the left. I can present you some. On some aspects, yes. On some aspects, absolutely, it is right wing. But there are some elements of their policies which I have reviewed deeply before, because I'm producing the video, where instead the position, for example, big government, the idea of having a big government, that is not a right-wing position. Right-wing position in America, the way I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, is that they push for a small government. And the Nazis were anything but, so there is that. And that's why I'm saying it depends. It depends. They were very militaristic. But then again, when we go into the militaristic aspect of it, when it comes to ideas of we need to have a strong military, then that's usually a right-wing talking point in America. But when you get to in Europe, it's different though, because in Europe, the Soviets were super militaristic and they are as left-wing as it gets. That's why I'm saying it depends. We need to kind of lay it all out. And that's why I will say, I will give you all the elements, guys, in this left, right, and then you choose. And if you still want to say, no, to me they're right-wing, that's fine, but at least do it after I show, the elements in it. And Matthias presents an interesting point. You say fascism and communism are mutually exclusive. Economically, I absolutely agree. There are some elements in common because extremes touch is the shoe horse effect. But absolutely, yeah, the economic position of, and also think about it. One of the things that the Austrian painter did was to immediately eliminate all the communists. He literally had them all removed violently. So there is that. But then again, it's one of those situations that, because communism as it's and I heard the other day a channel saying that communism is not left, which is, again, yeah, from a European perspective, communists are far left. Like this guy is not European, so maybe that's why he had a different opinion to it. But no, it's extreme, radicalized, militarized, and authoritarian left. That's what communism is. But it is what it is. Yeah. So great, yes. Lost yet forgotten says such as social welfare. The Austrian painter was very much into social welfare, for example, and even and yeah, that kind of stuff. So he was very much into it, for instance. But then again, colleague me, I wouldn't use that talking point because it's weak. When you say Nazis were a form of socialism, it is in the name. It's a weak statement because you have the Democratic Party in North Korea. Are they democratic? They're not democratic. There's nothing democratic about their party. So so that's what I'm saying. That's not the only thing. Yes, some of the social policies, I agree, but then again, socialism is very anti private ownership. The Austrian painter, I hate that I can't say his name, but hey, bear with me. The Austrian painter, he left the private industry, but he controlled it very strongly. But it did leave the private industry. But then again, as a point in favor of what you're saying, it did control it. It's not like you could decide freely who to invest or free market. Not really. But then again, when you say they were socialist, why did he have the socialists eliminated them if they were socialists? Because he did. And I can give you the dates and the names of all of that. So it's one of those situations. And definitely when you hear his positions when it comes to immigration, they do not sound like socialism. So we do need to be realistic about this, and giving a full answer without reviewing the policies, I think it's not coming from a position of intellectual honesty. I'm not calling you dishonest, by the way. You're a viewer of the channel, so I respect that. I'm just discussing with you. Thank you, the bonus, for the donation. By the way, we are a band. Oh, wow. We just sent our first EP for mastering the other day. That's great. If you like bands like Tool, APC, Richelieu, Nin, Manson, Alice in Chains, gosh, I don't know any of those, make sure to ADHD minus the H us everywhere. I appreciate that. Okay, well, I'll have to see this music of yours, but I'm old school when it comes to bands. I don't know any band. Well, yeah, I do know maybe some of these that you mentioned. I don't know any. Apologies for that. That's a good point, Victor. I appreciate that. Communist, it's a good riposte to what I said. So I appreciate the intelligence behind it. You say communist also eliminated other socialists. Yeah, because at the end of the day, and I agree with you, that's a good point. They are on the extreme end. The communism, particularly the Bolsheviks, were extremely, really on the other end of like, you can't get more authoritarian than that. And my response to that, again, you raise a very good point, but my response to that, he eliminated communists. Literally, Stalin eliminated anyone he wanted, and he murdered more of his own people than he did foreigners and enemies. So that's the thing about Stalin. So yes, I agree with your point, but it doesn't necessarily prove anything from this point of view, because he literally eliminated anyone, people in his own party. He got so, he was a nutter, like he was a monster. And some of the stuff he did, it's like, I think at the end he was so what's the word when you're like paranoid. He was so paranoid that he literally, like, the moment he thought he might have been someone who was opposing him, he'd have you eliminated. It must have been terrible to live under Stalin's regime, which is why, again, I say freedom of speech, guys. Freedom of speech. But thank you for that. Samuel F., your English is astonishing. I appreciate that. Thank you. If you hadn't said you're Italian, I would have thought you were definitely a native. Well, I appreciate that. Sometimes I think you can tell I'm not a native, and usually happens after someone praises me. I don't know if there is a psychological mechanism behind it, in the sense that I might be, maybe it's because now I have performance anxiety, and so I will say something and I'm like, oh no, never mind, I wouldn't say it that way. Am I great? But I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, the bonus, for the donation. APC, a perfect circle. Okay. They're pretty old school. Same with all other bands. I wonder why. Maybe they weren't popular in Italy, because, of course, when we go old school, please do keep in mind, in connection to what we were saying a minute ago with the person that was kind, commending a second ago, my English. But back in the day, I couldn't speak it. Okay, so I only picked up English in my teens. So whenever I was like 12, 13, 11, and I was listening to bands, if they were singing in English, I would not understand a word. And so I would switch to, so there are maybe some, so yeah, I would only mostly listen to stuff that was popular in Italy, including foreign, like Metallica, Nirvana were very popular back in the day. I'm a kid from the 80s, so it is what it is. There we go. Stalin allowed his son to die in a prison doesn't surprise me. The fear of losing power. True, yeah. And the fact that, I mean, being a leader or a very divisive party, it must be very stressful. And I mean good because I want someone like the Austrian painter or Stalin or Benito Mussolini. I'm like, good, well deserved to be stressed. But it must be very stressful because you know that people want you. I mean, that's what happened even in our reality, which is a lot less divisive than 20th century. It's still divisive because politics are always divisive. But 20th century was like crazy. 1930s, 1940s is insane. Um, and even today, I mean, if you think about it, what happened with the assassination attempt on Trump, which I condemn, and I think any person, whether you be left or right, should condemn, just like I would condemn an assassination attempt at Harris or Biden. Assassinations is not how you democratically vote, obviously. You don't vote with bullets, so that should be condemned. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped watching Destiny, because Destiny was, because as I say, I watch commentators and debaters from both sides because I like to keep myself informed and make sure I avoid echo chambers. And I used to listen to Destiny because I liked the way he argumented. I watched his debate with Ben Shapiro, and I thought they were both very articulate and fun to listen to. But then Destiny had the meltdown after the Trump assassination attempt, and I'm like, no, I'm not giving him a view, a single view anymore. And I would have done that if, say, someone on the other side had gone down that road. So, yeah, unless he apologizes for it, which I doubt he will, I'm not interested in listening to him anymore, which is a shame. I'll have to replace him with someone else. If you have some ideas on that, that'd be good. Descendants of Atlantis. I remember that, Adair. I've been watching documentaries. There is this channel called Second World War, and they, if you, I really recommend you because it's fun. If you're into Second World War, you should watch it. If you, what's the word? Yeah, if you go on Google or YouTube and you write Second World War week by week, you'll get redirected to this channel called the Second World War. And they do a fantastic job. Like literally they teach you the history of the events of the Second World War. They've done it for the First World War as well, week by week. And I've been enjoying it. Like the way he tells the story, it's so good. So yeah, literally I've been like watching that a lot. Your hair looks lovely. Thank you, Simple King. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, Charles suggests Vosh. Once again, I used to watch Vosh, and then there was the whole scandal with the pictures that appeared, and so I'm like, oh goodness gracious. So I don't know if, again, I suppose innocent until proven guilty, but Vosh has said some stuff in the past when it comes to CP that I'm not okay with. So do you have any other suggestion on that side, please? Because yeah. Samuel says Destiny has been on the extreme left for a while now. You know something funny? Isn't Destiny considered a progressive? From again, I'm not American, so if I say something stupid, feel free to tell me that. Call me out, I don't mind. But I believe he's a progressive. You know why I'm saying this is funny? Because the other day, when I mentioned that I was making a video on Twitter, I mentioned that I was going to make a video about African structures before European intervention. One person accused me of having a black supremacist agenda, me. And then they told me that and then he said, but what could I expect from a progressive like you? So he called me a pathetic progressive, I think. So imagine that. Imagine how blind you have to be to look at my channel and think that I have an agenda like that. Oh my gosh, it was so fun. Thank you, Marek. I laugh at it, by the way. I laugh. That's one thing that I think I've learned to do. It's a defense mechanism from a psychological perspective. Because it's either I laugh or I get really angry because, you know, when people call you things and you're like, I know I'm not a liar. I know I'm not a racist. I know I'm not. And then on the other side, I know I'm not woke. What are you on about? And then it makes you mad. But then I thought, but that's not good for me, for my mental health. So I'm like, you know what? I'll laugh. Because laughing is good for you. So I just laugh when they do that. Wokatron, you're so woke. I'm like, yeah. So I just laugh. That's what I do, my friends. I just laugh, and yeah, yeah. Baron says progressive is part of the far left of the Democratic Party. Yeah, I do know that like both liberals and progressive usually they're different, but they all are part of the. I think there are some policies that they approach differently, but at the end of the day, they're both usually left wing. But it was funny that I was called a pathetic because why? Because I wanted to show something based on the historical evidence that my team and I have found. Yeah, yeah. So that's what it is. Thank you for the you're doing a lot of donation. The bonus, I appreciate that. Okay, makes sense. All the European bands I have heard, except Ramstein, sing in English. Yeah, yeah. There are a few European bands like there are Italian singers that sing in Italian. There are a few nice ones, but a lot of the time, like yeah, we used to listen to a lot of American mostly, and a little bit English as well. Like we listened to Oasis, were quite popular in the '90s in Italy. Um, Anime, on the other hand, got really popular in the '80s, but dubbed. So we don't watch. I started watching anime in Japanese after I learned Japanese, and I started, learning it. But when it comes to anime, usually in Italy, kids don't watch it in Japanese. They watch it. Well, I guess today you can if you want more easily because of internet. But back in the '80s, there was no internet. At least when it comes to the general public, of course, the military is a different thing. And so we had to watch what TV would give us as an option to watch, right? One of the games I'm gonna make, by the way, because I'm making games on Unreal Engine, and one of the games I want to make a game and set it in the early '90s because um, it's gonna be very nostalgic for me. I want to be able to re-experience my childhood and my teenage years. So that's one of the things I'll do. Professor says, I just left Vosh before coming here. He's a complete socialist. Yeah, no, I know. I knew coming in when I started watching Vosh. Because I would watch Ben Shapiro, then I would watch Vosh, then I would watch Matt Walsh, and then I would watch Destiny. And no, it was good. I used to watch a little bit the Young Turks, but the guy when he starts screaming, I stop. As long as he doesn't scream, I don't know his name. He has a complicated name. Every time I read it, I forget. So every time he starts speaking, and I'm listening because I want to listen to the points, but then he starts screaming, and I'm like, oh no, no, I'm not having that. No, no. But Vosh, yeah, it's like I knew, of course. Like he made some videos about his opposition to libertarian takes, and I thought he was presenting arguments in an intelligent way. So I was enjoying that. But then, yeah, he made some statements about CP, mate. Like the legality of it. Like there is one, and I watched it. Like I watched him say it. This is not. Oh, maybe detractors are saying it. No, I watched the original clip. It's from a few years ago, but there is a clip where he said that a relationship for a minor, and I mean actual child, could be in some instances beneficial for the child. I'm like, no, no, sorry, no. So that's when I'm like, yeah, and that's very good. No mercy, no dragon. I like that. You say, Vosh, the guy loves to call everyone a fascist or a Nazi. Yeah, he does, and that pisses me off as well. It's like, okay, where is your argument? I'm waiting for the argument. So maybe stop. That's one thing also that kind of I didn't like about Vosh. But usually I give people second chances. Like I don't like when you call everyone. Like he would call me a Nazi 100%. Vosh, are you kidding? He'd call me a fascist 100%. But regardless of that, I was willing to look past that and be like, okay, but what arguments are you presenting? How are you defending your positions and your ideas when it comes to economy, when it comes to social justice and whatnot? I wanted to listen to that. Horse enthusiast. I mean, that when it comes to that, whatever. I mean, that's like, who cares? I don't particularly care. But the other problems is yeah, some of the statements that he made that I was like, no. So yeah, if you can find me a replacement for Destiny to listen to, that'd be great. Thank you. It is what it is. Let's see. The bonus. Thank you for the donation. You're really carrying the stream, aren't you? You should seriously check out Richelieu, though, particularly their album called Eidolon. It's gonna be well, Eidolon. I think it's easier to remember. Richelieu, I don't know if I can remember. Well, loo, I guess I can think of the bathroom in England. Like, where is the loo? Excuse me, where is the loo? And then Rish, how can I remember Rish? I can remember Rich, Rich Lou. Thank you, done. Committed to memory. Appreciate that. Yeah, Victor says I saw that clip. I was not surprised. Yeah, exactly. So I saw the clip, and you know me, I will always be innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. But when you have a clip and the guy's saying it, I'm like, okay, then I can't really look at this. It's a similar situation with Doctor Disrespect. Up to when he actually stated it himself on Twitter, up to that point, I was like, yeah, but innocent until proven guilty. I need to see what a court of law says, not public court of public opinion. But then he admitted it. And I'm like, all right. So, yeah, technically he didn't break the law, so it's not as bad, luckily. So I appreciate that. But then again, it's one of those situations. The Metatron spread his wings. Let's go. Thank you, 757. We're going to have some fun today. I want to play. Today we're playing some games. For sure. For sure. Matthias asks, Metatron, do you remember the cartoon Signor Rossi? Oh gosh, I watched it as a child, dubbed in German, great memories. I do not remember that. I only remember Porco Rosso, which is like a Ghibli studio. Pretty cool. But no, I don't remember that. Messianic Resources, thank you for the $10. Is it true that the Austrian painter used the occult and magic to determine military strategy and overruled his generals with nonsense? Well, the part of overruling his generals with nonsense, yes, he did that a few times. That's why his generals, even at one point, they consider some of the high generals in Germany were pissed at the fact that Hitler, the Austrian painter, didn't. They actually wanted to have direct control of the military strategy because they're like, yeah, you're a politician, but you're not a strategist. He didn't care, so he still did it. And at one point, they were considering organizing a coup, but that didn't happen because it wasn't easy to do. And there is a situation where there was a bomb that went off immediately after one of his speeches that he stopped delivering earlier than usual. Now, either, these are the two theories, either he knew it and he orchestrated it so that it would appear that people were trying to do something, so then he could blame Polish or what have you and Jews and then have them executed, or it was really lucky and just he didn't know. And of course, I don't have enough evidence to be able to corroborate either of the two possibilities. I wouldn't put it past behind him, of course, because, I mean, Germany in the 1940s was the master of propaganda. They had their own office dedicated to it. But yeah, whether he used black magic, I don't know. The Austrian painter, I'm just going to say AP from now on. The AP had an interesting connection with religion in the sense that he was not a Christian. People will tell you was a Christian. He was not a Christian and he hated the church. But he didn't attack the church like Stalin did because he understood that he could use it as an asset. That doesn't make him a Christian. And personally, that's my opinion. But personally, if he hadn't lost the war, I think if he had won the war, I think his next movement would have been to replace every single church and turn it into a church approved by the party, which is very similar to what is happening now in China. Because religion can be manipulated by a powerful regime, and it's a net positive for a regime. So even if you don't need to believe in it, it's kind of silly to think that. To use it, and that's what he was doing. But he was not a Christian at all, and he was very anti-religion, and we know that because there are a couple of letters that transcribe some of the things that he said in private, and among these things, he made some statements that were absolutely anti-Christian and anti-religious. So there is that. Maria asks, Metatron, are you a history teacher academically? Academically, I'm a language expert. That's my title. So I used to teach mostly languages when I was a teacher. I was a teacher for 10 years, used to teach in high school, and sometimes even middle school and special situations with children as well, like elementary school. I would do that too. But generally, I would teach through the European funds of university and research, so that I would be paid separately from my salary as a teacher to go around and teach in these different environments. And then I used to teach teachers how to teach. That's one of the things that the government used to pay me to do before I went full time on YouTube and stopped accepting those gigs. Let's call them this way. Now, have I ever taught history and culture? Yes, I have, but simply because I decided to. Because again, in my degree at university is a degree of comparative languages and cultures. So I did do a lot of language obligatory courses and history and civilization obligatory courses in my language studies, and therefore I did convince a few headmasters to let me teach some history as well, because I thought it was a great way to connect the students to learn why a certain people speak in a certain way. So I have taught history a few times, but academically I used to teach languages. That was my profession. Thank you for the question. You were having a good stream. How long have we been streaming for? Let me double check. We've been live for almost 2 hours, in a little bit. I think I'd like to start playing some games together. That could be fun. That could be really fun. And that's one of the things that I'm going to start doing, both for members with members only live streams. It's one of the things I will do. You say it's too quiet. Well, you can turn up the volume as well. I'll try to get closer to the microphone, but I don't want to scream because I don't want to get a sore throat afterwards. Yeah, you can, I suppose, increase the volume unless I'm already maxed on your end. But here I am. I'm closer. So yeah. Yeah, I'll check that documentary. Thank you, Simple King. For you, the volume is too low. Okay, so let's get this, let me try something. Let me see how this looks. So what happens, dear noble ones, if we do, like, I'm going to move the camera, of course. I don't want you to have to look at the microphone the whole way, but I'm just trying to see if we can do something here. So if I move a little bit like this, and then I move here, what happens if I do this? Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, but you see the microphone right in front. Hello. Hey, I could do some ASMR. Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna have to bear with me, noble ones. Bear with me while we try to figure this out. Now, you could say, but Metatron, couldn't you figure this out before the stream? And my answer to that will be, you are right, my friend. You are right. How about this? How does this sound? Is this annoying? How does it sound? Is it better? I mean, I could try and increase the pickup. Too close. Apologies. I woke up your entire neighbor. Apologies for that. This is good. Okay, let's try and speak like this with the microphone here, so I don't have to scream. And I think that could be good. You're welcome, the bonus. Not a problem. Thank you for supporting the stream. You've been very generous throughout the entire stream. Thank you very much. I think the next thing would be nice to invest on a new helmet at one point. What helmet should I get? What do you think? ASMR for Metatron when, says Raphael. That could be cool. ASMR in Japanese, ASMR in Latin, maybe. A little bit like that. It could be interesting. Okay, so do you know when the terms samurai and bushi became synonymous? As you know, the term samurai had nothing to do with warriors in the Heian period, but that changed. Yeah, the idea was someone who serves. I can't give you an exact date, and probably it's not the same everywhere in the country. It's something that was moved organically towards the idea of, and I think probably first it was nobles and professional warriors. So yeah, I can't give you the exact date. I'll have to look into it. So I'll have to ask you to. We'll get back to that. But thank you for the question. Can you play Age of Empires? I think I have Age of Empires 4 somewhere, but I haven't played it for so long that I don't even. I'll have to do it one of these days. Metatron doing ASMR while wearing full armor. All I need to do for that is move, and will clank, and that's my thing. Frog mouth helmet. It's downstairs, Greg. I keep it in my garage. Yeah, ASMR, the Divine Comedy. I'll do the beginning for you. It's in kind of medieval Italian. Nel mezzo del cammin di nostra vita mi ritrovai per una selva oscura che la diritta via era smarrita. Beginning of Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. It could be fun. It's nice that I don't have to scream as much. So maybe even if I put the camera tiny bit higher, does this help? I don't know. But here we are. Play Dwarf Fortress. I don't have it. ASMR history. You know how I should do ASMR history? I should be like, and the Romans attacked with the legion. The swords. Barbarians. Oh, that would be so funny. I cannot stand ASMR. I never watch it. I'm sorry. Can't stand it. It is what it is. Channel Zoomer Historian. I'll check it out for World War II. Thank you for the suggestion, Wyatt. That's a trademark infringement. That's a funny one. MZ, I know about that. I heard that that game is controversial, but I don't know why. I don't know anything about Wukong. So I don't know if I would play it because I don't know if it's my type of game. I have no idea. I know other games have been a little controversial, but I never really care too much. The only thing that pisses me off when it comes to a game is political injection. So if a game has political injection into it, it usually annoys me. Other than that, I don't care. Like, you know, sometimes how some people complain about, oh, this character is too attractive, make her less attractive. I'm like, mind your own business. But yeah, and if they do change it, then I download mods. So so there's that. I didn't know you played video games, mate. Look at my background. Look at that. It's all games. That is all games. So yeah, I'm a massive gamer. I grew up with, even look at these consoles. Yeah, so yeah, play a lot of games. Baron says, why is it controversial? I have no idea. I'm not the one to ask. I don't know. I know there has been controversy about it, or controversy, depending how you want to pronounce it. They call it a Soulsborne, but it's a Souls-like game. It's stupid video game journalists. Well, yeah, you know, I wouldn't even call them journalists. I'll be honest with you. Some of those, not all video game journalists are bad. But unfortunately, some, like, yeah, it says it's controversial because IGN made up some allegations from wrongly translated chats. I see. Yeah, but as I say, I don't like Sweet Baby Inc. and all of that drama. It's like, oh my gosh, these people. It's like, it's not even. This is not journalism. It's politics. It's politics. When it comes to that, journalism should be neutral. Journalism at its core should be neutral, and it should just examine. And by the way, that's one of the things that we were talking about the other day when Shad invited me over to his channel to talk a little bit. And one of the things that I said is I personally always separate the art, not always, I'll give you the exception, but in the majority of cases I separate the product and the art from the artist. So if I have something like, and I'll give you a situation in which I don't do it, it's someone like Shadman. Then no, I don't separate the art, but that's because to me it's borderline criminal, if not actually criminal. I don't know, alleged this, alleged that, to avoid suing. But apart from that, if someone like what is it called, Kingdom Come Deliverance, there used to be controversy with the creator, or one of the main creators, because of the fact that he is conservative. Do I care? No. And would I have cared if he was a liberal? No, because I care about the game. All I care about is, does this person inject politics into the game? In the case of Kingdom Come Deliverance, the answer is no. There is no politics in that game whatsoever. Also because the guy, yeah, it's not like he's the one making the assets. He's not the one creating, yeah, a little bit the story, but he contributed to a small percentage and then put the money. But it's like, what about the whole of the studio? What about all the different people and their ideas? And what it's, I care about the product, and I don't care about the personal freedom in a free country of whoever is behind that product to create a game or a book or a story. And so I like to create a disconnection between the two, unless it's a almost criminal situation, then that's different. That's different. But in general, I like separating the two things. Ninja Kobe says game journalism should be so easy. Well, yeah, ask the devs the game's intent, then review it if they accomplish that. Exactly. I mean, if you read the game magazines from the 90s, that's all it was. They would give it, graphics, story, controls, the sound. They give you their ideas, they tell you their opinion, and then great, that was the end of it. There was no. But they've been in a place like Kotaku, which I absolutely despise now. It's all about politics, and it really is annoying because again, they can say whatever they want. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have the freedom of speech to be able to say it, but then I will use my own freedom of speech to say that I think a lot of the times they're pushing nonsense. I agree, it's not journalism if it's not neutral. That's what I think. Bonus. I think that's what what I believe. This could be a controversial take, but to me, there are journalists on YouTube that in theory they're not journalists in the sense that they didn't go to university and study journalism, but they are better journalists than some of the actual journalists, because oftentimes actual journalists, they have a boss, they have to do what the boss says, or they maybe belong to a specific what a testata, how do you say testata, well, whatever, to a specific studio or a specific company, and that company has tendencies to report in a certain political direction, whereas YouTubers, they don't have a boss. And so to me, that is a great ingredient for excellent journalism. And one of these people is, I watch his channel, what's his name? CoffeeZilla. I don't know anything about CoffeeZilla's politics. I have no idea. And that speaks to the quality of his work because I can't tell. And it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is, hey, look, this guy's putting in actual journalism, and he's, he usually goes against frauds and he goes against that sort of. So yeah, I enjoy watching his content, and I also watch his second channel, Voidzilla. And up to this point, I think this guy's pretty neutral, and I appreciate that. Which is why I don't care about his personal ideas, because he doesn't let his politics influence the way he, for what I could see so far, he discusses and does his job as a journalist. I agree, Samuel. Absolutely. I can't speak for every journalist out there, but I'm saying it's happening, isn't it? And that's why I prefer to watch YouTubers this day rather than that. Yeah, yeah, Professor, I really like CoffeeZilla's work. Excellent work. That is crazy that Logan Paul is suing CoffeeZilla. I hate that, Zam. I know. I watched, and it's so bad that CoffeeZilla had an insurance, and the insurance pulled the plug, and so they're not covering him. And I appreciate. I mean, he said he didn't want to do a crowdfunding. I don't think that it would have been anything wrong with doing a crowdfunding to crowdfunding his legal defenses, but instead he decided he wanted to do merch. Hey, whatever. I don't. Again, I don't see. I would have crowdfunded it. I'll be honest with you. I would have done a crowdfunding of like, hey guys, I'm being sued. I don't have insurance. Please help support the stream, and I would have crowdfunded. But I respect. He wanted to do merch instead, so you can give something. But fantastic. I think I will get one of those T-shirts, by the way, one of these days, because yeah, sure. Logan Paul is super rich already. He's a millionaire. CoffeeZilla is very successful. I'm sure CoffeeZilla has good money. But then again, that's money he earned, and it would be a shame to see that money go into paying legal defenses from a rich guy instead of going to the support of his wife, himself, and his kids. And which is why I'll buy the T-shirt. I'll buy his T-shirt. I have to do it. I keep forgetting. I have to buy that cheap T-shirt. Yeah, I know, Matthias. It's one of those situations. Tiger Star says, "Did you know that the upside down cross is actually a symbol of Saint Peter and not satanic?" The way it has, well, it has been. Yes, I've seen the upside down cross in the Vatican. They have it. They have an upside down cross in the Vatican. So if you didn't know what Tiger Star just said, you could think, "What the heck is an upside down cross doing in the Vatican's museum underneath Saint Peter?" But Saint Peter's Basilica, and the reason is because it is a symbol of Saint Peter, because was he crucified upside down? Is that what it was? That he said, "I'm not worthy enough to be executed in the same manner as the master," so that's why they did the upside down cross, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's correct, because Peter was crucified, Paul wasn't, because Paul was a Roman citizen, if I remember correctly. But so yeah, it's true that's why the Vatican has the upside down cross in their museum. On the other hand, though, it has become now a symbol of Satanism. So that is one of the symbols that they use. So honestly, if you're a Christian, if you're not a Christian, do whatever you want. But if you're a Christian, I wouldn't go around sporting an upside down cross and just say, "Oh, it's just Saint Peter." That's just me. You know, your freedom. Yeah, that's what happened to Peter. Yeah, that's what I remember, Richie English. So yeah, that's where it comes from. So goes the story, yeah. I have been, as you know, Bunker Housing says, "Would be fun to snoop through the Vatican archives and see what stuff they have." I imagine you refer to the secret Vatican archive, and I have been inside. They gave me permission. So I did go inside the Vatican secret archives. I'd like to underline, though, that when you call them secret, it's just because it doesn't mean that no one is allowed. As you can see, I was allowed. It just means there is another reason why they call it secret. I can't remember it now, but it doesn't mean secret in the sense that no one can see it. So yeah, I've been down there. I've seen I'll tell you what I've seen. So I've seen a few things. They didn't show me everything, but they did take me around. And one of the things that they showed me was a letter written by Alessandro Manzoni, who is, if you don't know, is a very famous man of of Italian literature, super, super famous. We studied in Italy. Every student in Italy studies him when we were kids. And he wrote the Promessi Sposi. So he wrote a letter to the Pope because he wanted to recommend a nephew of his. So I saw his letter and the original signature, which was interesting to see. Then they showed me some of the earliest documents of diplomatic connection between the papacy and China. So the Khan. So I've seen those letters. And then another thing they showed me the copy of the letter of excommunication of Martin Luther. And the reason why they showed me the copy is because the original was sent to Martin Luther, and I believe he destroyed it. But the copy was written at the same time, because of course this is, copy doesn't mean a photocopy. Someone wrote two, and one was kept in the archives, and I saw it as well. So yeah, so it's interesting. It is interesting. It's also very cool. If you ever do get access, I mean, it's difficult to get access, but if you do, it's very cool down there. They have to keep everything at a certain temperature because a lot of the stuff they keep is temperature sensitive. And so yeah, you might want to wear a jacket if you're ever allowed. Kind of rude for him to destroy. Yeah, it was symbolic, if I remember correctly. Why did you need to see Luther's letter? Oh, just found it interesting. I just found it interesting because I wanted to see anything that was medieval. I was interested in looking at medieval stuff. So they showed me medieval stuff. Another thing that I learned at the Vatican Secret Archives is that they showed me period scrolls. Now, scrolls are different from papyri, or a papyrus is made with a plant. We grow them in Sicily, by the way. If you go, not just in Egypt, for example, but if you go to Siracusa in Sicily, which is in the east, you will see plants of papyri everywhere. So they're vegetable. But a scroll, it's animal skin. And what's interesting about real medieval scrolls, so, the Elder Scrolls, real medieval scrolls, is that they have a very different touch. They let me touch a medieval scroll. Yes, they did. I didn't do it against the rules. They told me you can touch it, so I touched it. And what's interesting about the tactile response to touching a medieval scroll is that because it's animal skin, on one side of the page it's porous because it's the page where the hair was, and you can touch it and you can feel all the little minute holes where the hair would come from, and fur of an animal would come from. But when you turn the page around and touch the other side, it's super smooth because it's the underskin. It's the other side of the skin which goes into contact with muscle. And and they are thick, that's true. It kind of depends the thickness. So when you touch the scroll, you can tell that there is a tactile difference in the way the pages feel. This kind of interesting this kind of interesting information, by the way, that I'm sharing, and I appreciate that you say it's interesting, Kaikos, is some of the stuff that I will put on my historically accurate books and book line that I'm working on. The first book is fantasy, not historical, but I will put all of this stuff in it anyways because it's medieval inspired. But when we go into the actual line of books, which are a book that is supposed to make you live and experience the Middle Ages, ancient Rome, and we are going to develop it as a team, we will put all of this kind of information so that reading the book will be a fun way to experience, because it's going to be a choose your own adventure book type. I can't use this term because it's copyrighted, but it's that type of stuff. So we want to create a line of books that allow you not to study history but to experience it, and I think it's going to be the best way. Hopefully they will be used in school. I hope they will be used in school, but if not, and you got a nephew, we will make them in a way that children can read them if they want. They're going to have complex vocabulary for children, but I'm not going to put stuff that wouldn't make them children, so that kids can learn from them. But the idea is we'll put all of this kind of information with the team to make them the most historically accurate experiences you can have in a book, so you can live through the time being. All of this will have its dedicated video. We might kickstart it, but before we do the Kickstarter, I want to publish the first book on my own. Because one thing that I hate, and the reason why I chose this strategy and been working on it for a year, is because I hate when YouTubers and influencers do a Kickstarter, get a lot of money, and they give you nothing. And I understand how people now, in our day and age, since this is happening more and over again, people, even in my audience, might be like, hey, yeah, for homeschooling as well, we're going to do that with that in mind. So people will be like, yeah, Metatron, but I don't know. How do I know that my $50, my $5, whatever it is that you wish to pledge, is actually going to get me what I want? And how do I know it's not going to take like 10 years and then you're just not going to do it? So what I decided to do is I'll make the first book, I'll produce the first video game on my own, and I will make the first interactive experience on YouTube. And I will do all of this. They're going to be fantasy because that allows me to not have to do research and pay the team and spend a lot of money. But I can do it in a year, and I'm almost done, by the way. I'm almost done. I've been working like a maniac behind the stream. I'm going to do all of this before the Kickstarter, so that whenever I present the Kickstarter and I say, hey, I've already proven that I can do this. Here are the books. Here are the experience. You can play it for free. Here is the game. I'll make it as cheap as possible on Steam. I've already done all of this. Now, the reason why I need a Kickstarter is because I need to pay the team to do it with history, because that's going to require research. But at least you know that I will deliver because I actually did it. That's going to be my strategy for it. And and that's going to be very exciting. And the interactive experience on YouTube is almost done. I've already made 350 videos, and they are all unlisted. But I've already made them, and the whole thing needs 400 videos. So I'm 50 videos out, almost done. The video game is in production, and members already have access to the teaser. So if you're a member of the channel, you can see the teaser. If you're a Patreon, I will post the teaser in a few days too. But right now the teaser is for members. And then the video game, hopefully I'll have a working demo soon. But I'm really looking forward to make the most historically accurate ancient Roman video game, or ancient Roman lines of books. And we can have a book where you experience the life of a Roman legionary going to Britannia, and the life of a Roman legionary, but you've been sent to Africa Proconsularis, or in another, which is the northern region of between Algeria and modern day Libya, or maybe like you've been sent to Pontus. Like, we could literally do a book per Roman province. Like, imagine that. It would be so fun, and make them as historically accurate as possible, but you make the choices so you live through it. I would love it. I think it's a great project, and I've been working on it for a year. And the reason why I haven't said anything about it is because I first want to have all my T's crossed, all my I's dotted, and I want to present something complete. So you'd be like, hey, there is a game. I can actually play it. And he made it. And I made everything. I did the code. I learned how to code with Blueprint. So it's simplified. But I did it. And yeah, and I did the experience. I know it works. I know I can do it because I did it. 350 videos. It's been difficult to keep it a secret, let me tell you that. But I've been telling people on Twitter. I've been telling people on my Patreons already knew this. And members had a few teasers. So now I'm starting to say it during live streams like today. And then, yeah, we'll have a big campaign, like PR campaign. And I'll let everyone knows. And it will be great because I think it's a good way to kind of, make sure, because I know in my heart that I'm going to do it if I say I do it. But how can I convince people that that's what I'm going to do? I just have to show them a real product already there for them to be able to experience and see, okay, but what is he talking about? And it's going to be there. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. So 2024 is going to be a good year because I'm going to publish a lot of stuff. And then 2025 is going to be probably the year of the Kickstarter. And then it's going to be good. I really believe it. How did you make the game concept art? So when it comes to concept art, I still don't have the game's concept art. I have a few screenshots that I made because I made them in Unreal Engine. I added the textures. I did buy a few assets and then modify it. And then I made my own assets. I actually did sculpt, 3D sculpt for some of the stuff. When it comes to art, I would like to employ a few artists to create some concept art. Absolutely. So that's how I'm going to do it. Just pay some good artists for it. But yeah, 2024, very exciting. And 2025 is going to be good as well. I truly believe it. I truly believe it. At the end of the day, creating is the thing that excites me the most. Sorry if I'm not reading your... Let me read your... I'm going to focus on your chats and super chats. Giovanni, thank you for the donation. Remember the show Deadliest Warrior? Oh, yes, I do. The games were awesome, by the way. The first one and the second one for Xbox. I assume it was 90% nonsense. Yes, it was. But 15-year-old me thought it was awesome. It was fun. Any thoughts? Christ is God, and God bless you and your family. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Yeah, Deadliest Warrior. You could... I used to talk about it back in the day. In fact, if you go on YouTube and write Metatron Deadliest Warrior, you'll find a few videos where I review. These are old school videos, so I never get to the point. And it's a little cringy sometimes, just so you know. I embrace it. It's been a learning curve. It is what it is. But yeah. So that's how it's gonna be. But yeah, so you can find that. But I think Deadliest Warrior was really fun to watch. But oftentimes, yeah, it wasn't the best. It was choreographic. It was fun. Not a great way to learn history, but what have you. Raphael says some people think they're gonna inject some diversity on the next game. So let me tell you about that, because none of my games, nor books, nor production will ever have any politics in them at all. They will only have diversity if the setting requires it. That's how it's going to be. So if I am making if one of the first books we do, maybe not one of the first books, but let's say the book 3 is going to be set in the Roman province of, as I was saying, it doesn't have to be Africa Proconsularis. It could be Africa, what is it called? Tripolitania. Took me a second for that. It's kind of a certain section of Libya changes the nomenclature if it's imperial period or if it's a republic. Anyways, if we set it in Africa, of course we're going to have people that are black. Like, for instance, in Carthage, even though the Carthaginians weren't black, so they're not going to be black on my book because it's going to be historically accurate. Don't care who I piss off. But they did have an enclave. We found it. We found the evidence for it. And an enclave, for those who don't know, it means that there was a specific section of the city where a lot of people coming from other areas of either Central Africa, the Horn of Africa, were living. Kingdom of Kush, they were living there. And some of these people were priests. Some of the people even had positions of power. So, am I going to make the entirety of Carthage black? No, because it's going to be historically accurate. But would it make sense in that setting that maybe one of the priests you meet is from the Kingdom of Kush or is black? Absolutely. So it's gonna be diverse in that sense. But then if I'm gonna make a book and it's in the medieval section and we're gonna look at medieval Florence, the Kingdom of the Medici, then I'm not gonna force inclusivity into it. Not gonna happen. Only if it makes sense because of the setting. That's how it's gonna be. and it is what it is. And that's the same thing. Like if a book is set in feudal Japan, then yeah, you could have a character, or like even if a book is set in a specific setting, of course you can have a character who has a different sexual inclination, although I wouldn't go into actual sexual descriptions, because I want to keep it so that kids can read it. But at the same time, you could say that like this person, and then have the reader imagine what happens. You could say that a samurai in feudal Japan had a different type of connection to sexuality, to attraction, and that sort of thing, because in that context it makes sense, and therefore in that case you would have absolutely mentions of this, but it will always be historically justified. That's how it's going to be. Let's see. It's going to be fun. I'm really excited to all of these things. Are there still mosques in Sicily, asks Jason. There are some that are historical. I don't know about active mosques where Muslims go, because, to be honest with you, I've never been to a mosque, so I have no idea if they have practicing mosques in Sicily. I know the historical ones. We have quite a few, for obvious reasons, one of the dominations. So you can see them with the, like, you know, with this, what is it called in it? I don't know what it's called in English, whatever. But yeah, I've seen several of the historical ones, but I don't know if they have active ones in there right now. No idea. They were searching about the Thor's armor, hammer, says the Third Reich, says Simple King. Interesting. I didn't know that. I know that the Austrian painter had connections to paganism. I'm aware of that. But then again, I don't know up to what extent. I need to double check it, because usually I don't say something unless I double check it, and I haven't had it peer reviewed, so I don't know. Okay, interesting one. Mr. Warlight, I disagree with Metatron on women in combat. I've interacted with women in grappling wrestling, and they have an advantage. They have lower center of gravity, and they can overpower men with their glutes. Right. I guess it would be anecdotal as a statement in this case. So remember that I speak averages. I never say never, because you never say never, particularly when you discuss about hypothetical discussions. But at the end of the day, I'm the one who's, the difference when it comes to sexual dimorphism between men and women is biological. It's interesting though that I was reading, I'm no biologist, but I was reading that the major differences in terms of muscle mass and strength are in the upper body. That's where you mostly see it. When it comes to the lower body, there still is a higher strength, as far as I know, in men towards women, but it's less pronounced when it comes to the legs than it is when it comes to the arms. Now, I appreciate that you disagree, but then again, I didn't say that women cannot defeat men in combat. I didn't say that, but I just said that when it's hand-to-hand combat, men have the advantage. And I still believe that. If you put the average woman against the average man, my money's on the guy. Now, when a longsword enters the equation, that's the part where I usually disagree, because a longsword is an equalizer. It's not as much as an equalizer as a firearm, of course. So men can be faster and stronger, but that doesn't equal automatic victory in all instances, because if that's what you think, you never did HEMA. Because I've seen kendo. I was in Japan, and I remember this kendo woman hitting a kendo guy, both trained, in the temple with a shinai without being hit. So if that happens, the fact that you have a biological advantage didn't matter in that specific case. So weapons are equalizers. They don't make it perfectly equal, depending on the weapon. I'd say it's a spectrum in that situation. And so there is that. It's interesting also, I'd like to make a video on women warriors in history, because they are the exception. I always say, in the majority, if you hear my statements on it, I always say, in history, when it comes to war, in the majority of cases, men went to war, not women. There are a lot of reasons for it. One of which is the strength. The other one is the fact that usually men are more interested in war than women. There are exceptions, of course, but in the majority of cases, that's how it is. And men tend to be better soldiers. But never listen to people that tell you it never happened that women fought in wars, because it did. And I'm actually putting together a video to show you those, because Whoever says this never read the sources. They don't read the classics. If you read the sources, Cassius Dio, Herodotus, and there are a few Roman generals as well, that mention specific cultures, not Western European. Celtic women, in fact, it's exaggerated. Celtic women, we have mentions in the Roman sources that talk about Celtic women fighting against Roman legionaries, and they lose, but they do fight very well, and the Romans kind of make fun of them. But those are not professional warriors. So the only one that I could say is a warrior, maybe Boudica, but then again, she was more of a leader. I don't think that Boudica could have fought a Roman legionary or a Murmillo for that case and won. But she was a leader. She was definitely a military leader, but she's not what I would consider a warrior. But there are warriors in the Eurasian and Indo-Iranian cultures, in the Sassanid Empire, in the Sarmatian context. There are professional warriors who wear women and wore armor and went to war. And I will prove it on a dedicated video. And it's interesting because I actually found with my team, and this was so fascinating. Again, it's the exception to the rule. Remember, I'm the guy who says, for the majority of history, men went to war. That is the exception to the rule. But we found this passage where the ancient Romans, Scythian women too, yeah, exactly. The ancient Romans fight during this battle, and then there is this contingent of cavalry, and they are a pain in the neck, right, against the Romans, the most professional army in the world. Now, who wins? The Romans. Great. But then we are told that the Romans find these corpses, they are all in armor, they remove the helmet, and they're like, wait, a woman? I have the passage. So, yeah, I'll make a an interesting. Shield maidens is something we can discuss, whether how much of a common thing was, how much was legend. So yeah, there is that. But apart from the Norse context, there are Indo-Iranian context. There are a lot more show because we have evidence. So again, you know, it's one of those situations where. And then this is not everything. We have gathered a lot of interesting evidence for it. So that's why I usually oppose people that use categorical statements and say, in history, never happened. You never had women warriors. I'm like, okay, you didn't read the sources. Like, and I don't mean it to be like an argument from authority. I'm not trying to gatekeep. I'm just trying, if you speak about history, specifically if we go all the way back to, and I'm not even going to mention the snipers deployed by the Soviets, who were women, whatever, but I'm not even going to mention that because that's an exception. Okay, it's an exception. But there are situations in which ancient cultures, not the Romans, but there are situations in which ancient cultures did deploy women. They put armor on them. I'm talking iron scale, bronze scale, brass scale armor, and they performed well. So it's not as categorical as some people say. Of course, they will call me woke for it, but it's not as categorical as some people say. Still, starting from the fundamental point, though, that for the majority of history it was men that went to war, and there is a real biological and scientific difference when it comes to muscle mass, explosive power, strength, skeletal. There is a skeletal problem, even dissipation of heat. There are a lot of aspects that favor male, and that's a fact. That's a fact. But then sometimes people sort of push it too far and make statements about history that demonstrates they didn't read the classics. So, but it's interesting. I think it's interesting. People get heated though. So like when I'll make this video, yeah, they'll call me woke. It is what it is, but I still do it. You know, yeah, the far left calls me racist. I still make my videos. I don't care. In the same note, I'll make this video. People will accuse me of being a pathetic, progressive, far left, communist, socialist, alt I don't know, alt leftist, and that will happen. Alt woke. I'm an alt woke, and it is what it is. I don't care because I care about, because these are, in my opinion, these are, and then they call me liar, of course, and that's the whole thing. Really, what we're talking about today is that when they fail to find evidence to counter your arguments because they've already lost, and I'll tell you about Seti the First in a second, because they've already lost, then they have to resort to call you liar, because if they don't, what are they going to do? Say that you were right? Higashi martial art, I thank you for your support. I might get a game with that, the $2. I found a horror game on Steam that I like, so I might use, if you don't mind, I might use your $2 to buy this horror game on Steam. Ever think about having kids, Metatron? We have been considering that. Yeah, probably. 2025 is what we're thinking after the trip to Italy. That I can make sure that the gene stays on the earth. No gray areas. You're right. Alt woke. That's me. Is the phrase "I know that I know nothing" a lie in itself? I don't think so. I think it depends how you mean, because I wouldn't want to be too pedantic on how I interpret that phrase. I think the idea is the more you know, the more you understand how much you don't know, which is basically the opposite of the Donning-Kruger effect. Donner-Kruger effect? Donning. No, Donner is what you eat. Donning-Kruger effect. Dunning-Kruger effect, where people who only have a little bit of a skill tend to overestimate their abilities and think that they know so much, but they don't have enough of that skill to understand how much they still don't know. We're all subject to this, and up to a certain extent. And so I think it's important that not when you become an expert necessarily, but when you're deep into any topic that you're discussing or approaching, then at one point in that field, you will recognize, oh my gosh, there was so much I had no idea, that now I know how much I don't know. So I don't think it's a lie. And once again, I think the definition of a lie is your intent is to pass something that you know is false as real because it benefits you in order to deceive. That is what is a lie. You cannot unintentionally lie. It's nonsense from a dictionary definition, if you allow me to be a little pedantic about it. It's not a lie. You're just wrong in that case. You're like, oh, I thought that this was a Super Nintendo game, but if you prove to me that this is instead a Sega Genesis game in disguise, and then you prove it, I'll be like, oh, guys, I didn't know, I was wrong. But I wasn't lying, because I truly believe that this is a Super Nintendo game in the moment that I'm making that statement, and that automatically disqualifies it for being a lie. Rich English says you might be the one who goes for and eventually solves the mysterious vanishing of Legion 9 Hispania. Would you give it a go? I think I have a video dedicated to it, didn't I? I don't remember if that is one of the vanished legions that I covered, and it's called Mysteries of Rome. I don't remember if that's the one, but it might be. It's been a while, so I forgot. That was a cool video to make. It was kind of difficult to edit, though. Let me tell you that. Let's see. Yeah, nobody knows everything. I agree, Matthias. Interesting question. Mr. Sparkles says, Metatron, is climate change woke? Well, I would say this. Some people who are woke, the people who are woke tend to believe in climate change. But that doesn't mean that climate change in of itself is woke. What I mean by that is that I personally, and again, I'm not a scientist, okay? And I'm not a weather expert. So whatever I say on this, please take it with a pinch of salt and consult people who are professionals. I'm just showing an uneducated guess. But I looked into the climate change thing, and in my opinion, there is some truth to it when I looked at the science. Does that mean that now I believe that everything they say about climate change is true, or that every solution or motivation to the fact that it might be happening, I accept it automatically? No, because I don't take full-on boxes, if you will. And I understand that some of the people in here will tell me, no, climate change is a hoax. And that's okay if you believe that, and if you can provide, and I'm researching it. I mean, my life doesn't depend on it, so it's not, and I don't talk about it, so it's not one of the things that I looked into it deeply. But I looked into it, and I looked at the evidence presented by some people that were denying it, and I looked at the evidence presented by, say, people that were pushing it. And as of now, because my opinion is based on the evidence I'm presented, as of now, I'm kind of leaning towards the idea of, I think there is something to this. I could change it. I can change it. I can change the idea if different evidence is presented towards me. And this is not the first thing I talk about this, by the way. I've already mentioned about it. But yeah, that's my thing. So I don't know what policies would work. What the heck do I know? Do I know if going green would really make a dent into the problem? Well, the problem with that, I would say that if you go green in America, but then China and India don't, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, is it? So, but then again, I'm not into the policy. So now I'm just saying, I don't know really. So that's why I say, not being a scientist or an expert into this, I tell you, whatever I say doesn't matter because I don't know. I have no idea. I just watched videos and that's my position as of now. Are there new videos on religion coming? Yes, absolutely. I have a new video. I want to make a video on the flood. Since I made a video on Sodom and Gomorrah, I want to make a video on the flood, and of course, literal interpretation of the texts, like we usually do. So that's happening. History guy from, it's just that they take forever to be made because I can't use my team for those. I'm the only one who reads the biblical Hebrew and has the background to do it. So I make them on my own. Those are just my work. So it takes me a month and a half to make a video like that. History guy from Wales, Metatron, are you a Christian? Yes, I am. I have a video dedicated. It's called Do I Have Faith? And I try, however, to keep my personal belief and my faith sort of to the side when I approach history, because I don't want my faith to give me a bias, which will give me. So whenever that's why on my videos I never talk about religion, and even my biblical series is approached from a secular perspective. I only translate it, and then you can believe, not believe. That's why I say atheists and Christians and people of all religions are welcome into my comment section, because at the end of the day, that's okay. It doesn't matter to me if you're an atheist. Great, we're just doing a secular video. If you ask me as a Christian, then I might give you a different answer. But when you ask me about the actual academic evidence, I will give you the academic evidence, even if it goes against what I personally believe. I'll tell you that's what the evidence is pointing towards. So yeah, I separate the two things. But yeah, I am a Christian. I mean, I was brought up in Italy. It's not like it's, yeah. Let's see. China is the most important, says King. Possibly, yeah. I was looking at how much they produce in terms of, was it like coal or oil or something like that? I don't remember exactly. I looked into it a little bit, but it was a while ago because, again, it's not one of those things that really... I prefer to research ancient Rome than to look into climate change, to be honest, because I don't have the power to do anything about it anyways. But yeah, we'll see. Video on homosexuality in Celtic culture, asks Tiger Star. Sure, I've got other videos at the moment when it comes to that topic. I would like to make first a video on homosexuality in feudal Japan before we talk about Celtic cultures, but sure, yeah, why not? Steelstorm says climate change isn't part of the woke conspiracy, but it is used as a tool. Yeah, that's why I think even in the right wing, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not American, but I think that there is division on this topic. They're not. It's not like every single conservative in America thinks that climate change is nonsense. I think it depends on who you ask. Personally, I could be wrong. And then you say, but it's used as a tool, like proclaiming eating meat is bad for climate or traveling. I see. It's possible. I mean, it's funny when I have seen influencers speaking all about like green energy from their private jet. And I'm like, hold on a minute. You do understand that your private jet is actually producing, if that's where you want to discuss, it's actually worse. And I don't know how much, I don't have the numbers, but I do believe it pollutes a lot more than me eating a steak, which I will continue to do, by the way. Oh, that's fun. Mike Underwood says, you're only leaning. Yes, and I'll tell you why. You say the evidence is overwhelming, the climate emergency is a fact. No, I do lean towards believing that climate change is a thing. The only reason why I don't say, like you do, it's a fact is because I imagine that you say it based on what? As you say, the evidence, but I haven't reviewed all of the evidence. And only after, because just because someone tells me, imagine if I now say, you're right, Mike told me it's a fact, so from now on, I'm going to say, it's 100% a fact. Well, I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert. So anyone can show me a little bit of data and they will convince me because I don't have the basis, like I do with languages, for example, or history, to be like, is this real or not? So it takes me time. And I've reviewed, like, I think there is an excellent video by H. Bomber Guy. He made a very good video on climate change, which is one of the videos that actually pushed me towards believing in it. But before I state this is how it is categorical, I need to have reviewed it very deeply. It's just how I operate. It's what I did. So I'm glad that you have already reached that conclusion, and I might reach it myself. But I have to reach it based not on what you say, because that would be dogmatic, and this is coming from a person of faith, right? So I'm going against my own things. But I'm saying the that would be dogmatic. I would be like, well, I say it because Mike says it. Instead, I think I need to review the evidence, right? And if the evidence is overwhelming, like you're saying, then great, they will convince me because I operate based on evidence, not propaganda. But because propaganda is a thing, then I'm very skeptical whenever I'm presented something, because I don't know if the facts have been manipulated. And so am I actually seeing the real facts? I need to see it. And it is my approach. It's a lot harder to confuse me with language because I know what I'm talking about. Sorry if that sounds arrogant. Uh, but yeah, I'm very open-minded to review the evidence. Absolutely. The bonus, thank you for the $10. Man, you've been carrying the stream. I appreciate your generosity. Any viewpoint can be woke. What may not be woke now could be woke tomorrow. Sure, it's a good point. The only thing that remains consistent in their conformity to whatever the hive mind dictates at the moment, 2 + 2 = 5. And while I agree with you, one of the reasons why I personally don't use I only use woke when I talk about people that now attack me on some occasions. But I tend not to use woke now, and I prefer to say activists, because one of the problems is that even though I can't stand the activists, they piss me off. With that being said, I have seen people on channels that now call everything woke. Like literally, this Dr. Pepper, because it's diet, it's woke. And my ibuprofen tablets are woke. My remote control is woke because it's black. Like it's one of those situations where it's been overused to the point, and then now I'm like, well, I don't want to say it anymore. Not because I'm okay with cancel culture. I think people should be able to say it if they want to. Freedom of speech. But with that being said, I personally stopped using it because I don't want to be seen as someone who now calls everything this is woke. So regardless, the hive mind can happen on any side. Some sides may have a proclivity, or some people, should I say, might have a higher proclivity towards connecting to the hive mind. But hive mind can happen, which is why it's important, I think, to listen to people from all sides. And you can disagree. You can remain solidly on your side, whether that be, in your case, right or left. But you should listen to other people, because if you don't, you enter into the echo chamber system, and that can be dangerous when it comes to critical thinking, because critical thinking is fundamental. It's fundamental. Don't let other people think for you, and that includes me. Like if I make a video and I'm like categorical with the facts, you should still double check, because I'm human, I'm fallible. We are a team, so at least I get peer reviewed now. And you know that if something is wrong, I'll say it. I'll make a debunking video of myself. And that's as close as I can get to the truth. But then again, you know, it's if you see someone who makes a debunking or a response video to me, I encourage you to watch them. The only case in which I tell you careful is if they call me a liar, because then they have an agenda. But if they're not calling me a liar and they just disagree with me, watch them. Watch them. If they change your mind and you think, no, Metatron, I believe in them, great. Then it means they did a great job. I have nothing against that. Tomatoes are woke. Oh, yeah, Heidi. Usually, exactly, activists and radicals on the left call everyone racist. And I hate that, because I got called racist all the time. And in fact, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be level with you. I think on some aspects, the reason why some people felt that in my vocabulary I was sounding more right-wing at one point with my channel is because so many toxic people in the far left attacked me so much that they literally pushed me right. This is what happened. Now I've kind of returned a little bit into an area of, it doesn't matter what I believe, let's just look at the evidence, and if the person presents evidence, I don't care if they're left or right. If they're right, they're right. If they're wrong, they're wrong. I've returned to this, and I'm happy with that. And I've also returned to it because, yeah, I was pushed right, and then a few people in the right started calling me woke for no reason, and that pushed me back in the center. But isn't that really annoying when that happens? And so at the end of the day, that's when I realized, and I'm like, wait, people in the comment section tend to have all sorts of different opinions and ideas, and I can have a civil discussion and we can be friends, and it's great. Who are the people that are the problem? Is toxicity. That's the problem. When a person is toxic, then whatever you feel that way, Raphael, I appreciate. It's the toxic that I don't like. It's the toxicity that I don't like. Not necessarily because we can disagree on economic level, we can disagree on religion, we can disagree on anything, and you can still be non-toxic, and therefore I appreciate you. It's the toxic people that I'm like, out, out, out. Nope. But here we are. They do, intranet. Tusa, don't let anyone tell you it's not the case, because I'm the one living it. They do. Yeah. Loco asks, how could I be so volatile? I think it was at a psychological level that impacted me. But honestly, think about it, Locomotion. Isn't that what happens to all of us? I mean, sometimes I see people like, and this happened to me a little bit at the beginning, kind of been becoming a journal here today. But doesn't that happen like when you watch? I don't know. I don't know who you are and what your political position is. Let me take this as an example. Let's say that you are firmly right wing. Okay, you are right. You're conservative. Great. And then you're watching Matt Walsh. And when you watch Matt Walsh, what you see is that he'll make these videos where he debunks the worst that the left can show. Right? It's rare that Matt will make a video where he shows, occasionally maybe, but it's rare that people, and it's not just Matt Walsh, the people will make a video where they show, no, this person, he's left-wing, but he's presenting very good points, they're discussing. No, they'll look for someone who is horrible. Then you watch that and you hate the left because you're like, oh, that person is horrible. But then the same thing can happen on the other side. And it does happen. Like you'll have someone, and who is firmly left-wing. Vosh does that a lot. And or Destiny, they're firmly left-wing, and then they will find out worse the right has to. Not people that are reasonable, not people that are moderate, not people that are just presenting ideas and like traditional values, but they're not hateful. No, they'll find the most hateful person in the world. And then if you are only exposed to that, you'll hate the right. And you'll say, oh, they're horrible. How can people even think that way? In a way, I think it happens. It's just we don't realize it. Just sharing my opinions here. Metatron just explained my whole political journey, says Rob's right. I appreciate that, and I think a lot of us do this. It's not a matter of being volatile. It's a matter of specific forces that appeal to areas of our psychology that are not in our control, and the subconscious as well. That's how politics works, for the good and for the bad. Thank you, Veronica Tash, for the $5 donation. You are describing yourself reacting more to being outgrouped by one identity or another than to the arguments and facts. Yeah, and that's the emotional. It's a good point you're presenting, and that's the emotional aspect of it. And that's why I decided I'm gonna stop allowing that. I decided that a few years ago. I'm gonna stop allowing that. And I'm going to look at the arguments and the facts instead. And that is my journey. And that is also why I have a team. So that if I'm being biased into something, because maybe someone pissed me off, it could happen. I'm like, hey, this is what I've reviewed. Am I right? And then the team of postdoctorate, archaeologist, PhD, historian, linguist, these people look at it and are like, oh, you're absolutely right. That's what happened with my Quelimica situation. I went to the historians, I went to the Egyptologists, and I said, hey, if I'm wrong, you got to tell me, because I need to say it. If I'm wrong, I need to admit it. I don't want to lead people in the wrong direction. And they were like, no, you're not only right, you've been too forgiven. I was like, okay. So that happened, and it gave me a lot of confidence, since this was coming from actual, real academia. And then, so that's what I do. Now, I only care about the facts. It is what it is. Buzzwords says Intranet USA. I absolutely agree with you, and I appreciate you sharing that. It is all insults. These are not pretexts to begin a discussion, a debate, or a conversation that can be intelligent. These are all become, even though the fact that you call everyone fascist. Did you study the historical fascists? Do you know the policies that Benito Mussolini was putting in place before you actually say that? No, they don't. It's just an idea of, it's a slur. It's a slur. It is one of those things. It is also why, and it's, I know that I can get a little bit of backlash on that. I'm still sharing my opinion based on freedom of speech. But that's why I personally do not use the word mental illness when I talk about transgender people. That is because, first, it's a doctor that needs to diagnose and use that word. But also because I seriously feel for the people that suffer with gender dysphoria. Now, if we're talking about an activist that is trying to push specific political positions, then I'll fight the activist. But I will not hate on a person who's going through suffering. I don't think it's a Christian thing to do as a Christian man, but even if you weren't Christian. I don't like using the word mental illness because I think some people use it as an excuse to hate. That's my opinion. So I'm not going to put in place laws to prevent you from doing it, as again, freedom of speech, but I don't use it that way because I think these people are suffering and I care about fellow human beings. I want to judge people based on their deeds, not their words necessarily, and not who they are, what they do. Yes, what they do, kind of. I think 3 hours of streaming is where I start to lose the ability to make coherent sentences. But I think you know where I'm coming from with this. So yeah, you will never see the LGBTQ flag on this video, on my videos, because there is a lot of politics connected to it. And if I put the flag, it kind of makes me feel like I'm now supporting all of their policies and all of their political ideas. And oftentimes when it comes to the actual website, yeah, there are things that I disagree with. But that doesn't mean that I hate transgender people or gay people and all that. I don't. I seriously don't. And I look at every person as the individual that they are, not as a group. That's the way I am. So it is what it is. Yeah, Locomotion says freedom of speech, pass. Civil liberties and rights, pair. I know, mate. I know, mate. So yeah, and that's why I like it when I see, like, it's funny. The other day I was going through Reddit and I saw people calling me transphobic, and I'm like, do you realize, did you even read the comments? Because in my comments I get people that tell me, hey, I'm gay, I really appreciate your videos about history. Hey, I'm transgender, thank you so much for speaking the truth, I appreciate that. Do you think these people would write that if they thought that I was that hateful towards them? I don't think so. I really don't. Fascism and Nazism as part of the socialist family tree. I disagree with you there. On some policies, yes, but it's not the same as what we normally refer to as socialism. But I don't want to go into it, MG, because I've already spoken about it on this live stream. But since I'm producing a video to discuss about the sort of where to place Nazism and socialism within the political spectra of, you know, the dichotomy in which we divide, particularly from an American perspective, I'll refer you to that video. I'll probably post it on the 30th, unless I'm too tired and I need to sleep, in which case I might postpone it to the beginning of next month. Hi.
Hi. I want to let you know that I'm about to take Mom home.
Sounds good. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, drive carefully.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
Okay.
Whenever you're done.
Okay.
If you come down.
See, that's fine. Okay. It's funny because she just told me to hold on to the... We have a little... how do you call it in English? You know when you're going down the stairs and there is something you can hold on to that goes all the way down? I don't know what it's called in English. You'd have to teach me the word. Scorrimano in Italian. Whatever. We have that. And my wife has been consistently telling me, hold on to the thing when you go down the stairs. She calls it the thing, so it's not my fault that I don't know the word. Anyways, hold on to the thing, hold on to the thing, hold on to the thing. And... so I always go down, and now it has, because she's afraid, you know, she's very thoughtful. She doesn't want me to fall down the stairs. Well, let me tell you something. 2 days ago, I fell down the stairs. I fell. Like, I think yeah, that was my wife. I think I twisted my ankle as I was going down the stairs. I think I was like thinking. And so I fell down the stairs, but because I was holding onto the thing, I literally held myself in the air for a second, and so I only fell for 2 stairs and it didn't hurt. It was nothing. I was fine. If I hadn't been holding onto the thing, I think I would have gone down the entire flight of stairs. So my wife is great. I just wanted to shout out, you know, and then if there are men listening here, I understand sometimes, you know, your wife railing, thank you, your wife consistently telling you, do this, be careful, do this. If you have a wife like mine, I know sometimes you're like, I know, but no, listen. In that case, absolutely listen to your wife, because, you know, you gotta be careful. Domestic accidents are the most, adrenaline, are the most common way to where you could lose your life. I mean, my uncle, my mum's brother, he died because he decided he had to change a light bulb at age 80 something alone on a little thing ladder, and then he fell from the ladder, broke his leg, died. Didn't, because he was old and didn't recover. And I mean, you know, it's one of those things. And of course, his wife would have told me, don't do it, but he didn't listen. So I did listen to my wife, and that was great. Nothing happened. So I'm glad I didn't fall down an entire flight of stairs, ladies and gentlemen. Not really superhero stuff. I literally was holding, and then my ankle twisted, and so now I'm falling down the stairs, but I'm also holding onto this, so I only fall for 2 stairs because it's kind of low, our thing. But then I'm okay. Like I'm sitting on the stairs and I'm fine. But if I hadn't done this, I think I would have gone down the entire flight of stairs, my friends. So yeah. I like the Ingrid where you're saying calling it a mental illness is not inherently hateful. I agree. I do agree. If you say it as a medical term, it's not. But some people will use it, like when they are like mentally ill. You're mentally ill. Come on. In that case, we can agree that they are not using it as a medical diagnosis. But then you say if gender dysphoria is not a mental illness, then what is it? I read, don't quote me on this, but I read that it isn't classified as such. The reasons, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. If doctors do classify it as a form of mental illness, then yes, I will agree it's a form of mental illness. I still won't use it to insult people. But as far as I know, it's not. As far as I know, it's not classified as such. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, because I'm not a doctor. That's what I read, but I read it on passing. Based non-paralyzed Metatron, literally. Do you live in Italy or America? I live in the United States. I am a legal alien. I'm an alien. I'm so happy that my card says alien. I like the term alien. I was actually, you know, my episode that I made when I was making fun of the Canadian University with all the politically correct terminology that you're not allowed to say, some of which was absolutely nonsensical. I would say the majority of it. But one of those was, I think you're not supposed to say alien. I love being called an alien. What are you on about? I like it. I'm an immigrant. Do I have a say? I like being called a foreigner. Of course, sometimes I do get, by the way, I did get a couple of times people, I think these are like ultra extra nationalists, some sort, because I got sometimes people telling me, we don't want you here, leave, we don't need your taxes, America for Americans. And I was like, do you realize that I'm literally your grandfather right now? Like, the person who is saying this, if they are European, that's what their grandfather did. They are me. So if you're a white American, I've done what your grandparents did. So I'm literally your grandfather historically. So I do get very few of those. Majority don't mind. But I did get a couple of those sometimes, and which is annoying, to be honest. But it's the attitude in that case. But the word alien, I love it. I like being an alien. I'm an alien. I do not want that word changed. If it offends someone else, I wouldn't go there and call them alien. If you don't like it, I won't say it to you. Again, I'm polite like that. If you try to force it with law, I'll have a problem with it. But yeah, out of politeness, if you tell me, hey, can you please not call me an alien? I'm like, I won't call you an alien, not a problem. If I know you particularly, if you have a relationship. But me, call me an alien all you want. I'm an alien. Please call me an alien. Yeah. Handrails are a must. I agree. I always told my husband to grab the rail. There we go. Maria is another example of those wives. And I really hope your husband listens, because literally I could have gone down the entire flight of stairs. Like literally. All right, let me see a few other comments. Do you put sugar in your spaghetti sauce? So the question that Mr. asks, it's a very Sicilian question, because Italians usually don't, but in Sicily it's actually quite common to put a little bit of sugar. But you only do it if your tomato sauce is sour. If it's not sour and it's naturally sweet, then you don't need to do it. But my mom used to do that a lot, actually. She loved putting sugar in tomato sauce. And one thing with elderly people is that their ability to taste sweet and savory or salty decreases with time, and that's why older people tend to put too much salt and too much sugar. So let me tell you, some of the some of the tomato sauces that my mom was making in the 70s, it was like we had to tell her like, Mom, you're gonna give me diabetes. Like you can't put that much sugar. And then she kind of decreases. But yeah, yeah, people do. I don't unless I have to. Let's put it this way. I usually prefer it without, but if it's a little acidic, and that's the tomato paste or not paste, puree. I use puree, not paste. Be Italian. If that's the tomato puree I have to work with and it's a little acidic, yeah, then yes, I'll add a little sugar. Alternatively, I think you can add baking soda, but I prefer sugar. I'm more into the, yeah, that way. Right. The bonus, thank you for the donation. There is nothing shameful about mental illness. No, yeah, sure, I agree. If you sit down with a psychiatrist, anyone will be diagnosed with something. That being said, I refuse to enable their delusional behavior. Well, enable depends what you mean by enable. So I think people who are adults should be free to live their life however they want, and because it's a free country. So as long as they're adults, I think they should be allowed to make whatever choices they want to make. And that's where I leave it at as my position on it. You don't have to live your life like I believe and love traditional marriage, traditional values. That's what I like. My wife is a trad wife. I love that. I love the idea that if she wants, she can work. But if she just wants to be a stay-home wife, not a problem. I'll provide for her. She will never be longing for anything, even if I need to work 20 hours a day. I'm an old school guy. I believe as a man, I need to provide for my family. But that's me. If there is another family in the same country and they're like, no, we don't like traditional marriage. We want to be like wife works and is a businesswoman or and all that kind of stuff. Or I don't know, they want to be transgender. They should be able to do it. And I wouldn't prevent them from doing it because I believe in freedom. Maybe from that point of view, I'm a little libertarian. I don't know, because the Libertarian Party in America confuses the heck out of me. I do not understand it whatsoever. So probably not. Maybe classical liberal in the European sense would be the terminology that connects to that. Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it would be. I don't know. I'm not into political science, guys. I'm just saying things. But yeah. Kapenar says something that is true, but also doesn't apply in my opinion. So you say, but I appreciate that it's a good rebuttal. You say the collective choices of individuals affect society as a whole. That's true. But when we talk about a minute percentage of individuals, unless we're talking about the activists, and then, yes, I'm with you. If it's the activists, I'm the guy. I'm with you. But if it's like people who are a minute percentage, like 0 point whatever percent of the entire population that just want to live their life how they want to live it, I think they should be allowed to live it. That's just me. Maybe a little, again, maybe I'm a little libertarian when it comes to that. But like look at the person rather than that's why I say when it comes to like, because I see Heidi says LGBTQ is a mass indoctrination. The activists with the flags, I agree, which is why you will not see the flag here. But individual people, you can be gay. That doesn't mean you're trying to indoctrinate anyone. And I strongly resent statements such as every homosexual is a P. I disagree strongly because it's just not true. It can happen. It can happen that's the case, but the idea of it's a dehumanizing idea, saying every single person, every single X equals Y. It's the same thing that they're doing on the other side, where they say every conservative is a fascist. Do you agree with that statement? I don't. I absolutely do not think that every conservative is a fascist. I don't. In fact, if anything, I think it's a minute fraction of right-wingers that are so extreme that could be connected to historical totalitarian regimes without looking into the economic factors. But when it comes to, no, I don't know if the percentages, I don't know if I'm wrong. I don't study political science. So once again, take that with a pinch of salt. But I do tend to not like statements that dehumanize the individual, trying to state that every X is a Y. In some cases, it's true, but these cases are limited. Thank you, the bonus, for the donation. Mate, you've been so generous. I mean, I don't know what to say. Thank you. I define enabling as playing along. For instance, use preferred pronouns. That's another interesting topic. Allowing men to use the women's bathroom and vice versa. The second one has to do with public policy. So in that case, I would refer that to politicians. Putting tampons in men's bathrooms, etc. That's all enabling. Well, yeah, when it comes to the second part, again, I refer to people that know how to deal with public policies and the law, because in that case, we are discussing the law. When it comes to the preferred pronoun, so here is my approach to it, and I've already spoken about it during Shadiversity. If you are talking about the silly ones, demon self, pumpkin self, I refuse categorically to use those. Like, I won't. If you ask me to use words that make absolutely no sense, I won't use it. If it comes to someone like, so if it comes to someone who is being toxic and they're trying to force me to do it, then I won't do it, because I don't believe in the idea of you try to force it by law. But if it comes to someone that is in my life and they politely ask me, and they've already gone through the whole transition process, then I will. Now, if you don't want to do it, I think you should have the freedom not to do it. But if it comes to me, because I'm a polite individual, if it's someone like, let me give you an example, Blair White, if I see her in the middle of the street, I would think that it's a woman. I would not have a clue that it's an actual, that she was born a male. I wouldn't have a clue with that, because she's already gone through an entire thing of the situation. So if she asks me politely, could you use she, I don't mind doing it. But if it's a 40-year-old who still looks like a man and tells me I identify as a 13-year-old girl, so you have to, no, I'm not doing anything, particularly if you say have to. So that's my take, and I think you can disagree. I appreciate that. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I hate the word individual who menstruate. Can we say female? Well, I'll say female. I refuse to say individual who menstruates. I mean, language, when it evolves organically, tends to become more effective at describing whatever we need to describe. So yeah, I refuse to say. When I hear individual who menstruate, it gets my guts twisted. But because I'm pro freedom of speech, I will never tell someone you can't say that, even though it makes me cringe. It does make me cringe, I'll be honest with you. Individual who menstruate, what the heck is that? It's a female. But whatever, that's the way I approach it. And if you don't, that's fine. That's okay if you don't. And it's interesting, the CGC says, what's impolite in using words properly for their reference in reality? I think it's similar to the idea of dead naming. Like, I see where you're coming from. But it's similar to dead naming. I mean, you guys call me Metatron. That's not the name I was born with. It's the name I chose. And I mean, it's the name of an angel. It isn't my real name, of course. My real name is Raffaello. So if you want to call me Raffaello, great. If you want uterus havers, oh my gosh, yeah, I know. All of that is nonsense. And I'm with you guys when it comes to that. But yeah. So I like that people call me Metatron. Yeah, I know, Ingrid. Thank you, Metatron individual who menstruate makes me gag. I know, I hate it. I hate it, and I'll say it. I don't care if they try to cancel me out for it. Literally agreed with everything you said up to this point. But thank you, Vance. But even if you didn't, I'd be okay. Even if menstruators, you can tell me anything you want, but you guys have the best. You have the best humor. I don't even know how you come up with these, but you're great. But yeah, so that's me. If they try to force it, I'll fight back, particularly if they try to do it legally. And but if it's someone who asks me polite and they like, hey, this is my new name, I don't care, I'll use it out of politeness. But you don't have to. You don't have to do it. It's just me. Milk producers. Oh my gosh, you're giving me a great time. So yeah, that's me, Raffaello. Yeah, that's my name. My favorite chocolate. Appreciate that. What about mother tongue? Should we say parent tongue to be politically correct? I'm not the guy to ask for political correctness, because 9 out of 10 I'll tell you it's nonsense. It's very, very, what would you say? Very few cases in which I will say, yeah, I can say that. But in 9 out of 10, 90% of the times, if you tell me, hey, politically correct should be this, I say nonsense. That's me. When it comes to mother, nothing wrong with it. No, mother tongue is fine. To me, at least. But yeah. Human factory carriers. Yeah, that naming and stage name, David, you present a good point. Unless we accept they're acting at fast, there you go. It's I appreciate that, like the idea that name is not the same. To me, I see it as a freedom of the individual to choose a different name. So, and because I'm very pro freedom, I'm very pro, like the same, but that's why I love freedom of speech. I'm like freedom, freedom, freedom. So I think for someone like me who constantly speaks about freedom, freedom, freedom when it comes to freedom of speech, and then I'm gonna go to someone who had the freedom to choose a different name and be like, no, you can't. No, I think you can. I just shouldn't be forced, and that's where I think individual choices come into play. So you don't want to use it? Okay, fine. I don't want to use it. I do want to use it. Fine as well. Very pro freedom. Yeah, you're a free, you're a weird person. In these days, seriously, these days, have we reached 3 hours? Because I think I'm starting to feel a little tired. 3 hours and 15 minutes, my friends. I really appreciate you sticking around for so long, number one. This has been monumentally fun. And I really appreciate you for coming here. I understand maybe some of the things I said you might disagree, and feel free to leave comments if you want to be like, hey, Metatron, I think you're wrong. This is why. And you know me, if you present a good case, I might change my mind. But up to now, this is what I feel. This is what I feel. This is what I think. And that's how I like living my life. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. And I'm going to go pro freedom unsubscribed. Oh, that would be fun. That would be crazy, mate. But I mean, what again? Okay. My dad is trying to call me, so I'll call him back in a second. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Eat pasta. Eat your veggies. And yeah, Metatron Marathon, literally. But I'll be live again one of these evenings for members. I'll do that too. And maybe we can play some games together. And maybe I'll be live on my other channels too. But I'll let you know on Twitter. So come follow me on Twitter. And thank you so much. Have a great time. And thank you for being you. Have a good one, number ones. Cha 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 cha. End stream. Cha 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 cha. Cha cha.